Well, order this meeting in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231. Notice this meeting was posted in newspapers, the record in the Ridgewood News. Publicly advised planning board rules of meetings shall conclude by 10 p.m. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Here, Mr. Pendo. Here. Mr. Friedler.
Is Zoom working or not?
Vice Chairman DeLon.
Here.
Mr. Kaufman.
Here.
Mr. Barbara.
Here.
Picnic. Here. Chairman Bellamy.
Here. Get a approval for the minutes from October 28th, any revisions and notes, comments? No,
I motion to approve the minutes. October 25th.
second. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members of the board. For the record, my name is Mark Liebman with CSG Law on behalf of the applicant, RW Woodcliff Lake Urban Renewal LLC. We are in a continued meeting. I have 3 witnesses I intend to call this evening. We're going to start with our landscape architect, move on to our civil engineer, and our traffic consultant, who's also our planner, Matt Secklock. Thank you for the special meeting. And we'll get right away started with Tom Carmen. Please come up.
Just got to remind everybody, we do have a star session. Try to speak one at a time. Good evening. We did. Yeah, I got it. So you're still under oath. Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Carmen, you have an exhibit that's been published up on the screen up there.
That I did.
Okay, and we have hard copies of that also that we've handed out to the board.
Yes, the hard copies that have been handed out on 5 exhibits, it just does not have the cover sheet that is on the screen right now.
And I've given some out to the public, and I have a few more that I'll give out to the public.
Mark,
These were not, these are new exhibits.
so Mark, we have to mark it.
Yeah, so let's mark this. I think this will be this, so the A4.
And so A4 is 5 sheets that include, the first sheet is called master plan. The second sheet is identified as berm landscape plan. The next sheet is Chestnut Ridge berm section views. And then we have berm cross section exhibit A. And then the last one is cross section exhibit B.
All right, so Mr. Carmen, not to take all the words out of your mouth, but after we were here the last time, you went back, met with the civil engineer, we had meetings, we made revisions to the plan, and we have actually improved the size of the berm.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
go right ahead.
Yep, so this evening, I'm gonna walk you through these few exhibits related just to the berm. Right after the hearing on November 19th, I went back to the site, I visited once again, I walked the berm with the goal of looking to see what additional trees we could see. So in doing so, we were able to, through the realignment of the walkway or the trail, I'm gonna jump to this exhibit that I have up here, just in red, highlights the area of focus that I'm gonna be talking about today. And this next plan, the berm landscape plan, breaks it into the 2 sections, but enlarges the scale of it. And the trail that meanders through the berm, it's the trail that we spoke about during the last hearing where we discussed adding some benches to it for people to sit. We've highlighted in red the 43 trees that we're able to save on the berm. And that includes 7 additional ones that based on my site visit that are not depicted on the submitted landscape plan, but we will update the landscape plans to include those additional 7 trees. The balance of all the plant material that's shown on this plan is 167 additional trees that were proposed. Now, kind of before I continue, yesterday I did have the opportunity, the pleasure to speak with one of the shade tree commissioners, Mr. Bosch. And we look forward to working with the Shade Tree Commission, any, recommendations they may have or commentary they may have related to species, horticultural practices, spacing and such. But the one item that I did want to clarify after that call is it did come to my attention that the redevelopment plan does like supersede the tree replacement plan. So although for this berm, we are utilizing the tree replacement calculations to make sure that we're providing all the trees based on those guidelines. But for the balance of the site, we are not necessarily bound to that. So we are doing it over here, and in doing so, we have 167 trees that are based on 91 trees that are going to be removed from the berm. In a bit, you're going to hear from the civil engineer who's going to provide testimony related to some site utilities that are happening like behind the right of way on our property. The roadway that essentially is a similar, meaning on our property, a similar alignment as to what's out there today. But the grading of that road is coming up. It's being raised. So when it gets raised, the backside of the berm gets filled in, and we're going to have to remove some of those trees.
I hate to interrupt you, but just to clarify, when you say 167 additional trees, can you define that? Because you're removing a certain number of trees.
That's correct.
All right, so
we are removing 91 trees.
okay.
All right, the 91 trees are trees that would go towards if the tree replacement ordinance was required of this site. So 91 trees that are healthy today, they range in size. They're all over 6-inch caliber. And based on the size of the tree, if it's a smaller tree that's just over 6 inches, it's a 1-to-1 replacement. If it's a bit larger than that, you need to replace 2 trees for every 1 tree. And then beyond that, it's 3 trees per 1. We've gone through, we did the calculations, we submitted that plan previously. And ultimately, it means that we have to plant 167 trees.
All right, so you're removing 91 and you're planting 167.
That's the summary of that.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So what I'll move to next, the next exhibit I have is during the last hearing, borough engineer, as well as some of the members of the board had recommended that we cut a couple of site sections. So cross sections through from Chestnut Ridge Road through the berm. And so this exhibit I have up here right now, berm section views on the top plan view.
When you refer to your exhibits, could you just indicate what page you wanted to?
Page 3.
Page 3.
Okay, great.
So at the top, this is taken roughly from address 291 Chestnut Ridge Road is where the section is taken. We have a corresponding street view just to the right of that. Right, so on the all the way right-hand side of that street view, that's the subject property. It shows the berm. This is one of the areas where the berm is actually a little bit lower. And you can see some of the existing vegetation on the subject property. Also on the left-hand side is the neighboring property. And again, you can see that they have existing vegetation as well that really adds to the character of Chestnut Ridge Road. So the image, the second section that I'll be presenting is taken at 285 Chestnut Ridge Road, just a bit south. And this is where the berm is a bit steeper, as shown on the image in the lower right-hand side. All the way on the right, you can see how the berm is a bit higher over here. And once I get to the cross sections, you'll see how the grading could impact any of the the existing trees. So I will now move to the fourth sheet. Chestnut Ridge Road berm cross section exhibit A. So what this, looking at this cross section at the top, all the way on the upper image, all the way on the left-hand side, that is the approximate location of the home of 291 Chestnut Ridge Road. And that's set back roughly 170 feet from the roadway itself. And all the way on the right-hand side of the sheet is where the proposed multifamily building is, and that is set back a little over 180 feet from the roadway. So, and then we've the lower image is an enlargement of the dashed box. So when we look at the enlargement image right here, we've also dashed in the existing grade. So this is where I had indicated that the berm out there today is a bit lower. And as you can see, we're doing some grading out there where the road is being raised a bit. In doing so, we're raising the berm a bit as well. And then you can see the walkway that kind of meanders through that the public can use. So in this area, as indicated, we're proposing new plant material within this zone because of the grading that is required to raise the road and raise the berm. I will now move,
That was page 4,
that was page 4,
okay, and the dotted red line,
is the existing grade out there today.
So everything above the red line is new additional berm area that we're going to add.
That's correct.
And we're raising the grade from, what is it, approximately 379.1 to 383.
That's correct.
So about a 4-foot increase in the size of the berm.
Yes,
And then we're going to put plantings on top of that.
correct.
So that's a significant improvement to the berm.
That's
Okay. Please proceed.
And now I'll move to the last image. This is sheet 5 within the package that I distributed. So similarly, on the top, we have a site section that goes from the home of property 285 Chestnut Ridge Road, approximately 160 feet to Chestnut Ridge Road itself. And then the multifamily building, a little bit over 185 foot further away from the roadway. Here, when we look at the enlargement plan or the enlargement section as well, you can see where the red line on the road side of the berm, we are not disturbing that. So any of the vegetation that is on that portion of the berm, we're not removing because we're not impacting it. You see then and on the multifamily building side of the berm, where we are raising the grade again for the roadway, where we will be impacting a few trees and we'll be replanting some trees. So although, you know, there's some site improvements, some grading, some utility work that has to be done along the frontage that necessitates the removal of some trees. We are proposing 167 trees. And I feel that with the grading that's proposed, the saving of 43 trees, the planting that we're doing, and as I indicated during the last meeting, we're not just planting 8-foot tall evergreen trees. They range from 8 to 12 foot tall, as do the deciduous trees that range from a 2.5-inch caliper up to a 4-inch caliper to create the character that everybody is used to along Chestnut Ridge Road. So that concludes my testimony.
Okay, just a question for you, and you might have addressed this at the last meeting, but I know it was brought up in Mr. Reiner's report. He had a question about some foundation plantings.
Oh, that was at the townhomes, the idea of adding some ornamental trees. And yeah, we did indicate that we will add some additional ornamental
Okay,
trees.
thank you.
Yes.
And the types of trees that are being planted here, Fran, you went through?
Yeah, we have no issue.
In other words,
Still variety and the difference in,
that they'll actually grow, they're not just gonna be an evergreen, it's gonna.
yes.
And as I indicated, I did have a conversation with a member of the Shade Tree Commission, and we're happy to, if they have recommendations as well, we're happy to have that dialogue
Well,
and coordinate accordingly.
I like our planner's final recommendations sometimes better than.
I usually put in the resolution in consultation with the Shade Tree Committee, in the event that there is any issue, it gets resolved. In this case, it will be by our redevelopment planner, Francis Reiner, who is a landscape architect.
Very good.
Okay. And it's a shade tree committee in Wycliffe Lake, not a commission.
Okay.
And the idea is that as these plantings mature, it'll look similar to what across the street in theory looks like along Chestnut Ridge.
That's correct. That's correct. And as I indicated during the last hearing, I mean, we've done a lot of different projects with this applicant, and their properties are maintained to a very high standard and very lushly planted. Very nice.
Just for clarification, there's a new doctor, is there removal and replacement? Are there any transplants? Are you transplanting anything?
We are not transplanting any of the material out there.
Complete removal, all new.
Yes.
Well, not all, though. You're saving,
Oh, no, we are saving 43 trees, but
107
those are all new.
no.
Do you plan to replant the trees as soon as you remove like what's the timeline on that? Is there gonna be a period of time where there'll be just 43 trees? And if so, for how long do you anticipate that being the case?
I can't speak to the overall phasing, but the site work would be done, right? When they do the site work, they will remove the existing trees. Once the building is far enough under completion, they will come in and do all the landscape improvements. So it will take a little time.
Like a
It's typically
few
last.
months?
Landscaping is typically last.
No, but
The idea is you're looking to try to create a buffer along
further along-
Chestnut Ridge. Because this is a long project,
It is.
you know,
Being a
and if you can get the grading together on the berm, it's probably not gonna be disturbed much after that. You'll have your entrances for your equipment and, once the berm is kind of established on its grading,
Right.
you could probably get some of the trees in there to at
Yep.
least,
I can speak with our
Yeah.
client and see if they'd be amenable to trying to establish some of that first.
Right, we don't
The
wanna-
biggest key would be that we have to get irrigation on the site. So
Right.
once that would be in place,
are these areas are gonna be fully irrigated?
they would, be, yes. Especially along the
The
frontage
front.
there.
There should be some type of instruction schedule, and I think there's some mention of it in the redevelopment plan. I think could be approved by the governing body, so. That would help solve any issues, any surprises in the future.
Yeah, the governing body is going to enter into a redevelopment agreement with the developer that has a construction phasing schedule that sets forth timeframes that everything has to take place on this property. And it's easy enough to include landscaping in that.
Any other questions? What,
If I'm not mistaken, there's gonna be 2 road openings that are made into Chestnut Ridge.
There will be, you will hear more about that from the civil engineer, but let me go back to to that first plan in your package, what's entitled the master plan. All the way on page, the right-hand side, is where there's an existing drive today. And then you'll see that there are 2 additional drives.
Yep.
That are proposed.
In those 2 drives, that's where a lot of the berm is gonna be removed for your. And that's. The reason why I'm just asking is disturbance for, right across the street, what's gonna happen right off the bat. And they were talking about how fast it take to be replanted, curbing and everything else and that stuff.
Right.
Because those are the questions that are gonna be asked.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a section where you have a retention basin underground as well, right?
There is an area that the civil engineer will identify
Right.
shortly. That is happening over here. So that's where you see where a good bit of, well, all the trees within that area needed to be removed. But actually, that is also where the current entry exit point from the existing BMW is. So there's not a lot of vegetation within that area today.
That's lost, right?
Yeah, that's already not there.
Sanjay? We get a motion open the public. Fran, you have anything for him or?
Motion to open public for questioning the witness.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public have any, go ahead, man, come on up. Just state your name, please, and the city residence.
My name is Quay, Sung Quay,
Could you spell that, please?
KWEI Quay,
I couldn't hear you.
KWEI Quay.
Okay,
I reside at 277 Chestnut Ridge Road, right across the current BMW entrance.
Okay, can you spell your name for the court reporter?
KWEI Quay is my last name. First name too. Yeah. Of the HUI.
Got it?
Okay, I'm sorry, I arrived a little bit late, so I missed the first part of this planning. The burn right across the 277 Chestnut Ridge Road, right next to current entrance, is there any change in this plan? Is it going to be like a lowered or road raised for the area?
you said you're, what,
Like,
What was the address?
Family sign, I guess.
There, that's right across the entrance.
77 would be,
Is this property right here?
Right there.
Yeah,
This one that has.
okay, so what was the question?
The question is I hear that you're talking about the burn of all these areas, so I missed the first part. I wonder if there's any change to the burn in that area.
I'll jump back to, I'm gonna look at the last image within the set that, the last sheet within the set that we sent. So what I had mentioned earlier was the grading that is proposed in this area is on the back side of the berm. So the front side, from your view to the berm, it is not being disturbed. Any disturbance that will occur will be right at the property line right here, where there will be some below grade infrastructure that will happen. And that will require the removal of one tree within this area.
Okay, and this area is also in front of 277 Chestnut Ridge or another resident?
This section that I'm showing right here
Mhm.
is a little bit further down. This is, or further up, this is at
285.
285,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay, good.
I will just jump back to that master plan sheet. So that section is taken right over here.
Mhm.
But as I indicated, the road, the utility work is just happening along this dark red line.
Mhm.
The berm itself, we are not adjusting that berm on the side. The only adjustment that we're gonna be making is we're gonna be meandering a walkway that would come up through there. That's open to the public.
And that's why you need to put all the fill in to keep that, to expand the top of the berm in theory.
That's correct, in that we're raising the grade of the road back there. When we raise the grade of the road, we're filling the backside, and that will also allow us to retain that walkway.
Okay, and you're not gonna touch the existing trees as well, because you're not touching the berm, right?
We are removing some trees in the area close to your properties.
Okay.
It is just that one tree that is getting removed on the front side of the berm. On the back side of the berm, there are some trees that are being removed.
Okay. And how about roadways? Is there going to be any roadways in that area as well, or untouched?
The civil engineer will speak about the grading of this site, because this roadway is coming up over here. He will speak to the impacts of the intersection.
I'm talking about the Chestnut Ridge Road, like, are there going to be roadways?
We're not,
No,
we're,
no,
no,
we're
we're,
not.
no, we're not changing Chestnut Ridge Road.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor?
Next one, Burke, ERT, Taylor Solicitor. And being a member of the Shade Committee, having other members here today, you've done an excellent plan on all of this.
Thank you.
You've got, I forget how many pages of landscaping.
Lots of landscape.
I know, it takes,
months to go through all of them, but you spent all that time, and I thank you for all that. We'll check them out eventually. And working cooperatively is very fine. All I'm gonna suggest is, because we basically do up planting in spring and the fall, when most trees were available, et cetera, is we've found that we need to put up gating around the trees, fencing around the trees. Our deer are voracious around here, and we put up probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 125 ourselves on an annual basis. So
I see, okay.
I just suggest, besides the need to have water for, regular use on that, and timing and everything else, I'm sure you do a good job. Just put at least some fencing for a while. You can always take it on later.
Understood.
Thank you.
We will look at that. Thank you.
Your detail shows that, your planting detail shows the deer protection.
Around the tree, yeah, right around
We're
the.
spending a few dollars on landscaping. I'm sure they want to protect it.
We do.
Anyone else from the public have any questions or cross-examine the witness?
I have a couple of questions.
Oh.
Laura Jeffers, 39 Edwin. You mentioned utility work. Could you expand on that a little bit? Are we gonna end up with those double telephone poles?
Probably the civil engineer would be better for that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I know
well-
he mentioned it.
Yeah.
And the walking trail that's on Chestnut Ridge, is that the sidewalk that you're referring to?
No, this is in
it's
addition.
next to the sidewalk?
It's in the berm, so
Okay.
it happens
Wait.
further into the site, but then it does provide access. It connects up to the sidewalk and then it meanders again through the berm, just creating an opportunity for passive stroll.
So
Off of
it's
the
gonna be,
street.
but on the Chestnut Ridge side, it's gonna be next to the sidewalk.
Tom,
Can you zoom in a little
yeah.
bit and show
Sure.
the trail marking on the right?
Sure, so the regular sidewalk happens, it just so happens this red line that we put on the graphic to show where we were focusing our study is right on top of
The
the
existing.
sidewalk.
The side,
The
that's why
yeah.
my question. yeah.
Right, so that happens right under this red line, and then rolling up into the berm and down
Right,
through the
that won't be
berm
obviously,
is this other walkway that I spoke about.
but what's on the road will be the sidewalk.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, thank
I
you.
mean, they may be installing a new one because they'll probably be doing a lot of work there
We-
for utilities and stuff like that, but there will be a sidewalk along Chestnut Ridge.
Okay.
In that same location.
Ms. Taylor?
Leslie Waltz, 1 Stratford Court, Woodwood Lake. Master gardener, among other things. You mentioned when the planting would go on. Doing it either spring or fall is critical, because that's when the plants are developing roots. And if you're gonna be disturbing the soil to do things, do that in the winter, do that in the summer, but the planting is always at the end of the project. And make sure that that doesn't turn out to be Christmas or something like that, because the plant cannot establish a good root system. And you'll wind up with dead trees that you have to replace.
Understood.
So, and I assume there's some warranty on.
There is, yeah.
So just the timing is critical.
Thank you, thank you.
Not seeing anyone else going once, going twice.
Motion for both, Bubba?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Thank you
Thank you.
very much for your
Thank
time
you.
and presentation.
Thank
Was it you? Or you just want to talk? Maybe that's why we lost.
All right, we're gonna call Adolph Montana, our civil engineer. Plug it into the system.
I don't think Mr. Montana's been sworn in yet. right?
No, I think he's been spent.
Sorry.
Thank you. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you got a full name, your business address.
Adolph Montana. I work for BSNS. It's located at 3 Mountain View, Warren, New Jersey. I've been with BSNS since 1998. I have over 25 years of experience in site development. I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, and I have testified on numerous planning board and zoning board municipalities.
License in good standing.
Yes, it is.
In New Jersey.
Yes.
Mr. Montana, please have a seat.
Okay, I'm good.
I'm gonna ask you a few questions just to get you going, and then I'm just gonna be quiet.
Okay.
And, I guess, can you just provide an overview of the lot subdivision that we're proposing? And first of all, let's identify what's up on the screen for the record.
Do we just start with the exhibits that
Yeah.
are already up here?
Yeah, let's do that. What is the,
Let me put that.
Is that you or is it me? You want to use this might be the middle one, so use it for this.
I have
this is real.
You want the big one?
Should we close this? He's already like giving me the. Take
show on the plans on the screen, so you don't have to open it up.
I like hard copy.
Do you have enough? You need some more?
Hey, I'm not a tree.
Need more?
By any means.
Yep.
Binders of my project.
I like everything in paper.
So,
I can't look at this.
is this the same what's on the monitor?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna use these 2 exhibits, and then I'm gonna use the plans that have already been submitted to the board. There. So I think we're gonna leave those there. Okay.
All right, I think we're ready. Thank you.
Okay, so let's mark this 2-page handout as A5, consisting of 2 pages labeled sheet FM-1 and sheet C-07.
And then let's include the set of plans that I'm gonna be talking about. So
And we've already submitted our civil engineering plans, which if we could mark those as A6, is the civil engineering.
Okay, so what's up on the screen is the subdivision plan. This is blocks 2 lot 1 that is going to be subdivided into 4 lots. Each lot would be for the use for example, lot 104 is going to be for the retail. Lot 101 is going to be for the supported building. Lot 102 will be for the townhomes, and lot 103 will be for the multifamily building. I'm just gonna put the areas on the record of each lot area. So lot 101, lot 1.04 is 109,242 square feet. Lot 101 will be 36,573 square feet. Lot 102 will be 228,162 square feet. And lot 103 will be 427 square feet. So that's just talking about the subdivision plan. I'm going to switch to the next exhibit. This basically is a colorized version of the overall plan that's already included in the package that was submitted to the board. That's sheet C7 that was last revised September 25, 2025. So basically on this exhibit, what I want to show is that the entrances to Chestnut Ridge Road, as what was mentioned before by the landscape architect, we are using the existing driveway that provides access to the BMW campus. We adding 2 additional driveways on Chestnut Ridge Road for access to the multifamily building and the townhomes in the supported building. And we also have an additional driveway on Glen Road. Just want to get some numbers for the records when it comes to zoning. The maximum number of phases for this project is 4. We are providing 4. Maximum surface coverage required for the project 60. We're providing 59.8%. Maximum building coverage requires 30. We're providing 24.9% for the 13 buildings that we're proposing. In terms of setbacks, we're meeting the redevelopment plan in terms of setback for the multifamily home, the townhomes, supportive building, and the retail building. I'm going to change to the plans that were submitted to the board, because I want to show a little more detail on the site plan. So
If you could just tell us which sheet of the
this
plan.
is sheet C8 of the package of the big plans that you got. Open up in front of you. You don't have to open it. It's right on the screen.
It's hard for us to turn around. Oh, it's over there too, but it's going away. You said see what?
C8. So, we have for the retail. I'll wait for you.
Yeah, okay. The rustling sound of papers.
Yeah, I'll wait. That's okay.
What was it?
You guys good over there? It looks like we're working on this. You stop rustling the paper? You're good. She's learning.
Go ahead, Mr. Montana.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about parking. We're providing parking in front of the retail building. The parking for the retail, just in terms of numbers, we're providing 45 spaces. We're required 45 spaces, and we're proposing 67 spaces in the parking lot. And we're also providing an additional 40 spaces that is banked, which is going to be constructed in the future if it's needed. That's on the open space area back here that I'm showing on the plan. We also proposing 5 ADA spaces for the retail, along with 7 EV spaces that are shown right here on the plans. For the supportive building, we're required 13 spaces, and we're proposing 14. 3 of them are ADA that are right here, and we're also proposing 7 EVs. For the townhomes, we are proposing, we are required 113 spaces. We're providing 231. We get to that count, we have 165 spaces that are part of the garage and driveway combination. And we also provide an additional 66 spaces for visitor parking. In terms of those visitor parking, 4 of those will be ADA.
Where's the visitor park for?
The visitors, we have them all,
there.
we have them in here. We also have them along Road D. So they're spaced out throughout the townhome, so
Okay.
people have access to that. I'm gonna move to the townhomes. I mean, excuse me, to the supported, the multifamily building, which is the next sheet. This is sheet number 9. So for the multifamily.
Did you wait?
Sure.
We're getting better at it.
Okay, so for the multifamily, we require 505 spaces. We're providing 579. 34 of those spaces will be surface parking, which is outside the building, and the remaining 545 spaces will be inside the garage. In terms of just site elements, we're providing 6-inch curb throughout the site. There'll be asphalt paving for all roadways. All roadways will be privately owned. We're providing sidewalks throughout the site, the range between 4, 5, and 6 foot wide. As mentioned before, we're providing the pedestrian trail along Chestnut Ridge Road, and we also have, I'm gonna switch back to sheet 7. Hopefully you guys don't have to switch. So there's also another pedestrian trail along the back between the parkway and our site. So it'd be two pedestrian trails. In terms of bike racks, that's another requirement we have to do. We have to provide bike racks for each use. So we have bike racks for the retail. We're providing 4 bike spaces right here for the retail. We're also providing bike racks for the supportive building, an additional 4 bikes. We are providing bike racks for the townhomes. I'm going to switch back to sheet 8. For the townhomes are located right here. We're providing 6 bikes for the townhomes, and for the support for the multifamily building, we're providing 4 outside and 16 inside the building for a total of 20, where 16 is required. I'm going to switch to the grading plan, which is sheet 9.
C9?
C9. So in terms of grading,
Is that C10 or C9?
sorry,
Yep.
C10.
No, I think it's 10.
Okay, sorry, C10. So in terms of grading, the site currently grades from north to south, from elevation 395 to 392 to the back where the existing pond is located. We are going to maintain the existing drainage patterns as it does today. We also are proposing a series of retaining walls due to the change in grade throughout the site. It's approximately 12 retaining walls that we're proposing. We also, in terms of drainage, I can talk about the drainage in this exhibit. We're providing 6 underground infiltration basin. I have one here in the open space. I have another one between the retail and the supported building. I have another one along Chestnut Ridge Road that was being discussed earlier, the testimony by the landscape architect. That's another one. I'm gonna move to sheet C11. That shows the other stormwater management facility that we'll be proposing. There's one along the multifamily building right here in this location. There's another one in the rear. That's the number 6. We also are proposing an above ground bioretention basin. So all 7 stormwater management elements are going to be part of our stormwater management strategy. This project is considered a major development because we're disturbing more than 1 acre of disturbance. So we are triggering the NJDEP regulations, which require us to do water quality, quantity, and recharge. So we're doing all 3 components using those 7 BMPs.
Anthony, those standards are even in excess of what our regular ordinance would be, right?
Well, same.
Same.
We adopted the state's.
Gotcha.
The DEP's latest standard.
I'm going to change to the next sheet, which is C12.
Just if I can ask one question.
Yeah.
Just because the public isn't. I mean, there's no reason why public wouldn't necessarily know what a detention basin is or an underground stormwater. Can you explain that, what it looks like, you know, because you have 7 of them that are identified, and then you said 1 that's kind of open basin, even for the public's knowledge, if maybe you could just explain what it looks like when you're standing on top of it or standing next to it, looking at the ones that are below grade versus the one that is open. That would be helpful.
Okay, the ones that are below grade, you're not gonna see them. These are plastic arches. I don't know if you see them out there when you drive by a construction site, but there are underground arches that sit on top of crushed stone and they detain water. So, and the water filtrates to the stone and then filtrates down to the groundwater. So for the public, you're not gonna see anything for the underground, but
The landscape ones, are there planting on top of them?
yes, that's a bioretention system. So the one above ground that is behind the multifamily building, this is basically a hole that that you excavate that is designed to maintain the water quality, the 100-year storm. I mean, so and there's a forebay that's designed to pre-treat the surface runoff before it comes into the main component of the bioretention system. So it's basically a hole in the ground.
And above the underground ones, you'll have lawn, plantings, anything that you want, or
Which one?
the underground ones that you won't see. would
Correct.
be- I mean, is there gonna be a road over them? Is there gonna be landscaping over them? Is there gonna be
Or
grass over them?
some of them, they'll be under the pavement, and some of them will be underneath, perviously the grass.
Are there
or-
any filters in place between the basins or any maintenance
Oh,
wells that
yes,
need access?
these are gonna require maintenance, so there's a maintenance manual that we prepare, it's part of the stormwater management report, the big book that was submitted, sorry about that,
No.
but. So yes, in there is there is the guidelines that the applicant's gonna have to follow to maintain the water quality devices and and what do you call it, detention systems.
Mr. Montana, can you go to sheet C-07, the first exhibit that was colorized? And I'm gonna ask you to just zoom in on it, and I want to put some testimony to the record along the lines of what Mr. Reiner was talking about. If you could zoom in on the top left corner there where the land bank parking is, that area that you have the mouse over, that is a underground detention basin there.
That's correct.
And the plan is that that's gonna have grass planted on top of it, and if it needs to be used for parking, then there'll be asphalt there, and that detention system just gonna be underground.
That's correct.
You won't be able to see it.
No,
Okay. Can you slide down a little bit on the screen? So right there, there's in the 67 parking spaces area, there's another underground detention system there, correct?
correct.
Okay.
And it's on the parking, so you're not gonna see this one either.
Okay, and then sliding over to the right a little bit, there's one there. And that's the area where presently there's an entrance into the BMW property right in that area,
Correct. You
right?
can see it right there.
Okay, so where that roadway is, we're gonna install another underground detention basin there.
That's correct.
And that's why we can't put trees on top of it, because there's an underground detention basin there.
And there's not many trees that are gonna be removed here because there's an existing driveway too.
So that was the logical place to put.
Exactly.
Okay, can you slide up to the top? In the visitor parking there in the back under Road E, that's another underground detention basin there, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then slide over to the right. And then that's okay, yeah, there's another one there underneath that roadway and part of the berm. And then you've got the open detention systems at the back and another underground back of the building too,
Yeah,
right?
that's number 6, and this is the above ground.
Okay, and just for the benefit of the public, the stormwater maintenance manual that we submitted to the board, that was a gigantic 3-ream binder. Am I correct if I say that contains detailed instructions on how to maintain and operate these different water storage and detention systems?
That's correct.
And as part of the approval process, that actually gets recorded at the county as if it's a deed, correct?
That's correct.
And then that gets maintained in perpetuity for any resident to get a hold of, so that even 50 years from now, if somebody wants to know exactly where it is and how do they maintain it, the instruction manual is literally on file at the county.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about utilities. So I'm gonna go back to sheet 12. So in terms of utilities, we're proposing the sanitary sewer system for the entire site. It's made up 8-inch PVC piping. And we're connecting at 2 locations on Chestnut Ridge Road. One connection is right here in front of the supportive building. The other connection is in front of the multifamily. I hate keep switching sheets on you guys, but and here's the other location where we're tying into the existing system for the sanitary sewer for the project. In
Is
terms
there any
of,
existing connections there, or is that gonna be new?
it's brand new
Brand.
connection just for this project. In terms of water, without switching back and forth, we're providing an 8-inch DIP system that provides water for the entire development. There's one connection on Chestnut Ridge Road, and there's another connection on Glen Road. We're also proposing electrical, gas, telecommunication services for the 13 buildings, and all those are gonna come from Chestnut Ridge Road.
The electrical service will be underground.
Everything's gonna be underground, so you're not gonna be able to see anything. I'm gonna switch now to the lighting plan. This is sheet C14 of your package. I'm just waiting for you. Okay, in terms of lighting, we're proposing 94 LED light fixtures, type 3, 4, and 5 distribution. They're mounted at 14 feet high, and they're made out of the manufactured by Beacon. All the light fixtures will be 3000 Kelvin in terms of color. The light fixtures will be mounted on a 5-inch round aluminum pole, which is color black. We also are proposing 34 LED bollards. They're manufactured by Keem Lighting, and those are mounted at 3.5 feet. The average foot candle for the site, for the retail parking area, we're proposing 1.7 foot candles. For the roadways, it ranges between 1.5 to 2.5 foot candles. For the sidewalks, it ranges between 1.8 and 2 foot candles. And for the roadway intersections, they range between 3 foot candles and 3.9. The lighting design does meet the Wood Cliffs Lake ordinance requirement. The lighting system will be equipped with automatic lighting control, and it'll be operating from dusk to dawn. And the lighting system will have dimming capabilities, which means that after construction, the applicant will have the ability to control those light levels once the system is constructed. And that's all I have.
I know someone had a question at the last meeting about the walkway being lit up. I don't think they're gonna have ballards, but it looks like you've got the 14-foot ones. Is that facing the street? Along C14, along Chestnut Ridge, you've got all the A fixtures, which are the 14-foot.
Correct.
What you call them, but they're facing Chestnut Ridge,
Correct.
and are they straight down lights?
Straight down, yes.
So this is basically the coverage. If you
Correct,
zoom
that's-
in, that little bubble is basically the light coverage.
Exactly, and the spot elevations, they tell you the level lighting.
Gotcha. So by the time you get to Chestnut Ridge, it looks like is that 0.2? Is that what they?
By the center line, you have down to 0.2.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about a garage.
Yes.
Where is that?
The garage for the multifamily or for the townhomes, which one?
Well, that was the first time we heard about, I've heard about a garage, just wondering where are the garages? Are they more than one story?
Well,
They're under the buildings.
the architect provided testimony on that, but I can answer your question. If I go back to,
Yeah, just zoom right in on that one.
let me go to the side plan, it's cleaner.
I don't think he's talking about the garages for the town.
You want to know where the
Right,
garage is?
the multifamily.
We'll show you.
So there is 2 levels of parking underneath the multifamily building. There's 2 levels. One is access right here on the road A for the lower level, and the upper level is access right through here.
No ramp in the garage, just
No
straight
ramp in
level
the garage.
access. We're
Correct.
using the grading to
Correct,
go down to the other.
that's correct.
Right. And not losing any parking spaces inside by doing.
And can you show us the access for the building on the north side of the?
Yes, there's an additional access right here. I believe the project architect testified on the parking garage.
But, so like, that's the northeast corner of the building. Okay.
Correct.
Is that the question you were looking for? Or the answer you were looking for?
Is there another one for the townhomes?
Yeah, so
The townhomes are just the individual garages.
yeah, can you zoom in on the townhomes, Mr. Montano.
I'm going to change to sheet 8. So the townhomes, they have garages. Each townhome has a garage door here, garage door, so you can have 2 parking spaces in the garage and 2 parking spaces in the driveway.
Yeah. Good question. Is there a parking under the courtyard?
Under the courtyard.
There's, each square, let's call it, has a courtyard in the middle.
You're talking about
In the multifamily buildings.
right here? I know there is.
No, that's
No,
not the question.
Yeah,
There, the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah.
But, he means within the larger garage, you have 2 buildings separated, and then you have a courtyard internal to that. This here, right here.
Oh, that, got it, yes. Yeah, my plans do not show the courtyard, but yes, right here, there are courtyards in the proposed building, and there's parking underneath these courtyards. I thought you meant the overall big one, This one. The center of the building, yes.
So there's a lower garage. Below that courtyard, and there's an upper garage. That also.
There's 2 levels underneath the courtyard
Two
of
levels.
parking, yes. I call it L1 and L2, lower levels for parking.
Is L1 below or is L2 below?
I'm gonna guess that L1 goes the lower level, L2 is right above that. But, we get into the architectural stuff, but, I'll try to answer your question.
Well, it's the other way.
They do, they go 1, 2, 3, right?
You get lost, so.
Mr. Montano, there was a question last month about the amount of soil that's gonna be moved on the site.
Yes, we did an earthwork analysis, where we have to bring in materials, so we have a 46,000 fill that we need to do to be able to grade the site the way it was shown in the plans.
Okay, and we're agreeable, obviously, to working with the town police department to schedule the movement and pre-construction meeting to schedule the movement of those trucks.
That's correct,
And that's typical, right?
typical construction.
All right, do you have an idea how many trucks it's gonna be?
I did a little math. If you're assuming that you were using a 20-yard dump truck, you'll probably need around 2,300 loads coming into the site.
That all comes in one day usually?
My math did 4 loads per hour, that's 32 trucks, that's probably 72 days worth of, but I don't know, that's up to the contractor to figure out how he's gonna do that.
All right, but we'll coordinate that with the town and make sure
Of
it
course.
works on in an organized fashion. Okay.
Anthony?
And just a couple questions, on the retaining walls, what's the max height of your retaining wall?
They're varying heights, out of the 12 walls that I mentioned, it ranges from 2.5 feet to about 15 feet in height, depending on the location.
And those obviously structural design would have to be submitted.
Yeah,
prior to-
we'll have signed and sealed shop drawings that will be submitted to you for review and approval prior to construction.
And then, just to go back to the drainage briefly, so you've got a total of 6 underground infiltration basins plus the big fire retention basin. and
What did you
then
say was good, Debbie?
And choked back, reduced, and then discharged to the existing wet pond.
Yeah,
That's-
listen, the chicken parm is from
That's
there.
correct. We're reducing surface runoff from what it does today, based on the regulations, so it'll be a lot better after construction.
And those regulations, the report, we all saw it, it was, you know, 2 books.
My apologies.
You
for
read
that.
it, right?
I did, and everyone asked me, you know, why is it so big, why so much? And can you talk about the new design requirements, how you have to account for both what? Current rainfall plus the future, so.
Correct. So NJDEP changed the regs and made us do an analysis of the present rainstorm events and future rainstorm events. So, you know, due to global warming, we're thinking that storms are going to get worse and worse. So DEP makes us design a system for a future event. So obviously the system get a little bigger, but you know, we minimize, I guess, what do you call it, any drainage issues downstream, because we're making the existing site a lot better than it does today. So everything helps.
And then I guess the one comment that we had was to take a look at that existing pond, and I think your last submission, you did, you
Yes.
reviewed the existing pond, and what the result is what? Much less, you know, much less leaving now, in the post condition than prior.
That's
to.
correct.
So,
We met the reduction.
and then with the maintenance manual, it's gotta get recorded with the deed, and then annually, those reports gotta get, filed with the borough, so that it's on file at Borough Hall. The only comment I had on that was, you listed the requirements for the 7 that you're building. I think you need to also add the existing pond as well, because that's part of your system, so.
Okay,
That should
but
be-
we'll add it to
yeah.
to the maintenance manual, and we'll make that, you know, submission under resolution compliance.
Just from a layman's point of view, the underground one and the above ground one, do they all eventually end up in the existing pond? Is that how it works?
Pretty much everything right now as it does today, it drains to the back. So-
Right, everything existing
So-
prior to construction drains just to the back,
Right.
mostly just by surface probably. I don't think it's.
There is an existing drainage system.
There is,
Part
okay.
of the office complex that drains everything to the back.
But what you're proposing with the 6 underground, the 1 above, they all eventually drain down, but that will drain down slower based on these new requirements.
Correct.
And cleaner in theory, because it'll be filtered before it gets to it, and then it all ends up in the existing pond that's there now,
With
right?
the exception of a small corner, right? The small corner goes to Glen.
That's because that's what it does today. We're not touching it, so that's
That's the one by the potential parking, the bank parking, is that the one you're talking about?
correct.
Yes.
You know, we try to keep the existing drainage patterns because we don't want to overload the system
Right.
under the proposed conditions, so we would try to keep it the same.
So the existing pond that's there now, in theory, when that overflows, that winds up going into the brook. I can't remember what the name, the Muskwa. That's the one.
There's a large 36-inch pipe that takes the overflow to the Swampsink Brook.
So in theory, that should be better then.
I have another question. Road D. On your, I'm looking at CO7. CO7. To, Glen Road.
This one,
Has the county proved that?
yeah, we made a submission to Bergen County. We had a meeting with them last week, and they had some comments, minor comments to this intersection. So we're gonna comply where the comments.
People making that right-hand turn, I mean, it's just gonna be U-turns all over the place.
Right-hand turn coming into the site or right-hand turns leaving the site.
Leaving, so.
That's the only movement they can do. They can only go right. They can't make a left coming out of that intersection that we're referring to.
And the reason why they wouldn't make a left is because they could use other intersections to go.
They can
left.
get out the other way.
Correct.
So anybody wanting to go left here would actually use a different.
Correct.
exit point.
That was one of the comments from the county. They wanted to
They
make
have that
sure.
one traffic light, which is like painted red for 5 minutes, so they got plenty of time to get out.
So one of the comments we got from the county was to make sure that we signage this properly, so the driver knows that he cannot make a left turn. He has to make a right.
And therefore would make a decision a lot different. In theory.
In theory.
And there's no left turning into that terminal.
Right.
Correct.
We just go back to the drainage for a second.
Yes.
So the underground systems, they're infiltration, they're collection and they're gonna infiltrate into the ground, correct? There's a stone base. So when water collects into that, with chambers or arches, it's gonna go into the ground through the stone. If there's an excess, it'll build up and then it will flow into the pond, correct?
If it's excess water,
Excess, I mean, if it's, if it starts rising above the stone, let's say that the stone from below gets saturated, that's when the runoff will go into the pond.
correct. I mean, the system are designed to infiltrate the water quality storm. Anything over that is going, for example, a 2, the 10, and the 100-year storm. Those are 3 storms that we use to analyze it. Those are designed to be detained and slowly released to be able to meet that criteria
And they're released into that pond.
and released to the existing pond in the back. Yes.
So in your opinion, post-construction, do you think that pond is getting relief from this development? Or is it staying the same?
The existing pond should stay the same because water's just going right through it. There's not really any
Do you think there's more or less water going through?
for the proposed.
From the existing
Well-
to the proposed?
Yeah, there's less because we're detaining, so it's definitely less than
Should be
today.
significantly less, correct?
It's the 2-year storm, we're reducing it by 50%. The 10-year, we're reducing it by 75% and 80% for the 100. So
So for the 100-year storm, the post-construction, the flow that's hitting that pond will be 80% less water than what's currently hitting it.
for example, so if right now we have 100 CFS leaving the site, we need to bring it down to 80 CFS leaving the site after construction. So that's the reduction factor for the 100-year storm.
For the 100 years.
Correct.
So it goes to the first retention pond, then to the new retention pond, then to the old retention pond? I'm sorry.
Eventually, they'll all get to the existing pond that's out there today.
Okay, but does everything flow to the open one first? I'm sorry, but I'm trying to read the 14 binders and the things.
Well,
I'm trying to see if it funneled to the new one you're
yes,
building.
and then
then to the-
everything gets funneled via piping, eventually makes it to the existing basement in the back.
So it's stopping it before that, all the way through the other retention stuff you have, then to the pond, where now it just flows to the pond. Okay.
Which should help downstream from.
Exactly,
the brook
that's
is the point.
that's the whole point. We're making downstream better
Right,
after construction than it is today.
which is, I think that runs on Brookview, right? I think on the west side of Brookview is where that thing lines up. Brad, you're saying something?
You want to mention?
I'm gonna step aside on this one
Intentionally.
and ask a question about,
Intentionally leave them.
you indicated that, the lighting is on a dimmer system. The dimmer system set by different area, by phases, in other words. You know, the lighting for the retail parking may be more intense than the lighting for the townhome. Is the lighting for the retail parking set on a separate kind of dimmer system?
We can make it that way, so it could be controlled individually.
Well, I would suggest the board consider requiring the dimmer systems to be done by phase, and then I would suggest that the board consider something to the effect of 6 months after final construction, there's a review of the lighting levels, so that any spillage of lighting can be dealt with at a 6-month period. It sounds like they've already designed the system to allow for the dimmers, which isn't always conventional, so that's good. But I think that the town should at least have a requirement after 6 months post-construction that they review.
Yeah, we agree.
But no objection?
No objection.
And then one more question, since the temporary parking was brought up, at the last meeting, we had asked whether or not a dog park, interim dog park. An application.
Talked about that and the answer is no. There's just too much liability associated with the dog park, with people getting bit. I think everybody read in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago in an adjoining town, somebody's dog was killed in front of them. It's just not something that we're prepared to undertake. We thought about it. We talked about it. We don't want to do it.
Any other questions from the board members?
Is it existing lighting on Chestnut Road? Street lighting? Are you modifying that?
No, we're not touching the system.
When you have new lighting on Chestnut.
Correct.
Correct. But there is existing. That remains as well.
Correct. I just gotta go get my charger. Yeah, it's fine.
I do plan on locking my dog up.
Yeah. Plug it in.
Yeah. I have some questions about the drainage. This is part of BMW property. BMW is gonna retain the other portion of the property. My memory is correct. This overall site was about 88 acres. So this is round numbers, approximately 20 acres, so 60 plus acres is going to be retained by BMW. Is there any drainage that's in common with these
No,
two
there's
sites?
the independent system.
They're independent system?
Yes.
And there's a tank on the other part that BMW is gonna retain. Don't they have some time?
I'm not sure about what they have.
Okay, the property. So what did you review the drainage system for the BMW property that they're retaining?
No.
No, you just looked at this site
Correct.
itself.
Just the 20 acres.
Okay. And so there's gonna be nothing in common as far as the drainage system goes between the 20 acres being sold approximately and the 60 plus being retained by BMW.
Correct. They're independent systems.
Is there any connection to the roadways between these two developments?
Any connection?
Between the
roadways.
The roadways between.
Oh, yes, there is that existing driveway on Chestnut Road that I spoke of before. That's a.
The
common driveway.
multifamily?
This one we're not touching, our improvements start further back.
But my question is that gonna serve with the property that BMW is going to retain?
Yes.
It will, they're both properties.
Correct.
And who's gonna maintain that?
That's a question for the applicant and.
Gonna have to work that out with BMW, but the town is not gonna have to maintain it. We can tell you that.
All right, thank you. I don't.
Brad, Anthony, you good? Tom?
It's good. I got a Sorry, bring up a good point. The thing with the existing pond that's pretty close to the BMW property that's gonna be. You haven't studied that parcel, the other 60 acres. I don't know that it's not contributing to this pond. There's an existing.
Well, there's no connections. There's no connections to this system. I know that. Yeah.
You verify that there is no.
Yeah, there's no connection from the 60-acre parcel to our parcel.
So it's just time when we turned it on, I could be right.
Anyone else? Thank you. Whatever. We're not open. You can't hear.
There's too much chatter in the hallway. It's disturbing the reporter.
Motion to open to public for questions of the witness.
All in favor?
I.
Sabini?
Hi.
Give us one second.
Yes.
Yeah, let us ruffle a little bit.
Get ruffled up.
You wanna make it?
Okay. Do I have to tell you who I am?
Yes.
Yeah. Donna Bennett, A-D-E-N-E. Donna Bennett, A-D-E-N-E. We'll put that. I have a question, it's really about aesthetics. The second pond, the overflow pond. We're talking about 100-year storms and stuff like that. What if we have no rain? What happens to that? Let's say we're in a drought like we were last summer and the summer before that and the summer before that. What happens to that pond?
I think that pond has a built-in line that maintains the water surface elevation as it does today, because I'm sure there's a constant water surface elevation, so there has to be a line that maintains that.
Okay, so it's not gonna become a mud hole if there's no drain.
No.
It's always gonna have water.
Yes.
That's my aesthetic question. Thank you so much.
So you wanted to fish it?
I was gonna say, is that gonna be stocked with anything?
Well.
I'm afraid to go dog park, it's in cool. Liz Gaelic, 70 Apple Ridge Road. So you talked about the entrance and exit from Glen, right and right. Are there any other entrances and exits from Overlook, from Chestnut Ridge? Where do all these townhome and apartment people exit? It can't only be from Glen. Where?
No, we have 3 driveways on Chestnut Ridge Road. I can show you. There is, like we mentioned before, we have one, the existing that exists today. And we
That's at the corner of
That's-
Overlook and
No.
on Saddle River Road?
That's the existing entrance into BMW
On Saddle River Road.
on Chestnut Ridge.
Chestnut Ridge Road, okay.
And then we're adding
It's not
an additional 2 driveways on Chestnut Ridge Road. So there'll be 4 access points to the site.
Just worried about traffic.
It doesn't go.
I believe they have a traffic engineer coming to testify as well. So they'll go over ins and outs and all that stuff in a little bit.
It's not the whole BMW site. It's just the top part of the BMW site. It's not the whole site. I have other people have asked that before.
But it seems like a lot of units are going in there, a lot more traffic, a lot more people.
But I'm just saying, you
Hang on.
think about.
We will we'll get into traffic flow in a little bit, I promise you. Mrs. Taylor, actually, sorry. What? I know, I jumped the gun, I didn't see her, I was trying to.
Listen. Woodcliff Lake,
It's not Mrs. Down.
wearing my engineering hat. Water retention requires maintenance. Is any of this tying into the sewer system that exists for the town?
You're not asking me, you have questions for the witness.
You're talking about drainage or sanitary sewer flow?
I'm talking about anything.
Well,
We're not, my house is not allowed to have 1 drop of water leave my property into the street. I'm asking you about this property.
Okay, in terms of drainage, it's like we spoke before, it's going to the existing basin in the back, so it's not connecting to anything in terms of storm into Chestnut Ridge Road, Oakland Road.
Okay,
In terms of sanitary, we're tying into the existing sanitary sewer system for these problems.
Okay. This retention, above ground retention area, will it be fenced in?
Yes, it will.
So otherwise kids won't know that that's not for,
Exactly.
Play.
Yes, they're fenced in.
there's also a pool indicated to the right of it. Some kind of pool on the diagram,
you're
there's
talking
a
about-
blue area.
In the multifamily building, there is a proposed pool.
Just a pond, upper right corner.
Right,
Right.
we're proposing this, and this is existing today.
The rightmost blue area,
The right.
what I'm asking
Okay.
about. What I want to know, is that intended for children to play, or is that,
No, not at all.
what is that intended for?
It's an existing facility that's there today, and it looks really nice. It's nice vegetation. We're trying to keep it.
Will that be fenced
There won't be any access to the back.
for children to,
No, there's a huge grade differential. There's retaining walls, so there's no way.
so there's a retaining wall to prevent anybody from getting
Exactly,
there.
and the retaining wall.
Otherwise, you have a liability issue.
Absolutely, I don't want that.
Okay. So there is nothing from the property on the assumption of a 100-year flood. The one thing I would question the wisdom of is in my lifetime, since I'm here in Woodcliff Lake for 16 years, we have had more than 100-year flood. So the old theory of a 100-year flood is no longer valid. You must build to a better standard than that, or else everything is built on the wrong standard.
And we do, NGDP changed the regulations and now we're designing to a future storm event.
What
which is
percentage
bigger.
higher is?
I don't know the exact number, but if I had to take a guess, it's about 10% higher than the 100-year storm, but.
I would need
I'm
higher.
I'm guessing on that one.
Okay, I would strongly suggest higher, since in my lifetime of living here, we've had more than 100-year flood.
Yeah, and
Calling it a 100-year flood.
Mr. Montana, could you just explain the term 100-year flood, because it doesn't mean every 100 years.
No, I know that, but the original
Well, the public may
standard
know.
was set on the assumption that that amount of water would fall at one time, no more than once every 100 years. But practical experience has shown that that standard no longer holds true. Many of us have lived, all of us probably are old enough to have lived through more than 100-year flood and seen the consequences of the water overflowing from all the built facilities that based on the old 100-year flood line.
And like I mentioned before, NGDP has taken that into consideration because of global warming, so they're making us design for even a bigger storm than the 100-year storm. So when I'm saying 100-year storm, is 100 plus, because
I'd like to know what standard is being used
we
in your calculation.
we can give you the section on the NGDP regulation that states that.
Okay, let me shift to something else. You talked about the volume of earth that needs to be moved in. What about the damage to the streets from all of that traffic? That every community in the area has experienced what I call road ripping from the moving of heavy trucks to the site for any kind of fill that's needed. I would expect that the developer would be responsible for any damage to the roads.
In terms of damage to the roads, I'm going to probably defer to the traffic engineer. That he probably has more data on the impact of a truck on an existing road. We're talking about probably 20 cubic yards of material on top of a truck.
Based on the experiences of neighboring towns of roads being ripped up, just for the Montvale site that are coming through Woodcliff Lake and Hillsdale. Hillsdale has been furious about the number of streets that need redoing because of the trucks going to Montvale. So I'd like to look from the side protecting our investment and saying that you're the one who's bringing the dirt in. You're the one who's putting the wear and tear on the road. So I would expect you to do the remedial work. So
I think most of those roads are county roads and outside the municipal or the developer's authority.
I'm looking after the county's pocketbook. I'm looking after mine because I live on one of the county roads. And I'm not looking forward to having all kinds of potholes and needing repaving nearly as often as other towns have had to do for a development like this.
I understand.
So I'd like that taken into consideration by whatever contractual agreement that you have down the road that says they're responsible for bringing the roads back to the state they were before they started. Let me see, anything else? Oh, I learned this from 9/11. Are you having more than one electrical connection to the community that you're building? So you're sourcing the electric from the north, from the south, from different areas, because God forbid we have some kind of catastrophe in the area. Having a single point of failure is really awful. That's why Manhattan
Okay.
had no telephone.
Can you answer the question?
That's why Manhattan had no
Can you
telephone
answer the
service.
question, please?
In terms of electrical, right now we're showing one point of source for each use. So in terms of the water, we're providing double.
I'd suggest that
Mr. Montana, can you tell us where the generators are gonna be on the property?
Sure.
That was one question for that to ask you.
I'm gonna go back to the plans for the multifamily, the generators, and transformers are located on the south side for the south wing. And they're located on the, right here at this location for the north wing. These two
And
boxes.
that's strictly for that part of it.
That's for the multifamily, so that'll be one feed for the 2 feeds coming in for these, for the multifamily building. And then,
For everybody else.
and then we'll have a separate feed feeding the, what do you call the townhomes, a separate feed for the supported building and the retail building.
The smart money says have 2 feeds. If you recall, when 9/11 happened, all of Manhattan was cut off from the phone grid. Because all of Manhattan phone traffic went through the Lincoln Tunnel.
I understand.
And you couldn't make a phone call in New York for weeks.
We're gonna follow the utility company's recommendation and, follow their guidelines to make sure that this is done properly.
I'm telling you from practical experience.
Oh, no, I understand.
Columbia University got caught by surprise by all this. I'm trying to make you aware of it.
Do you have any more questions?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Come up, state your name, please, spell it for the.
Andy Holmes, 305 B. So I've got a couple of questions. The first one is, how are we planning to demolish the existing building? And has an in-risk assessment been done to the?
I'm sorry, could you speak up a little bit?
How are they planning to demolish the existing buildings? And has a risk assessment been done on the impact for properties across from those buildings?
I'm now aware any risk assessment study being done for demolition purposes. And we don't deal with how the demolition is gonna take place. We just call it out. That's up to the contractor and the applicant to work together, how they're gonna take care of that.
Okay, so I would like.
I think there's restrictions within the code, the construction code.
Yeah.
That would require them, if they're doing any excavation or any demo work that could potentially harm any neighbors, they have to do some sort of risk assessment. I don't know the
So have
code,
they done
but
it?
the engineer, would you guys know it? It's really a building
department
It's probably a building department concern when they pull a permit for demo.
I understand the standards and requirements. I'm just asking if the risk assessment has been done, or was there a plan to actually do it?
I'm not sure. It sounds like it has not been done, but I'm not sure that's up to the applicant. I'm not sure if it's required. That would be up to the building department.
Okay, so who should answer that question in terms of, is it gonna be done, is it required? If it's not happening.
I think it would be the building department that would answer that.
What I'll say is I don't believe it's a purview of the planning board to, for that the building department would oversee that as a part of the demolition
Perfect.
application. Yeah, so this board doesn't have jurisdiction, in my opinion, of answering that question. You would want to go to the building department and the construction portion to determine what is required in terms of whether or not there's been an assessment of any environmental issues within the building. And if there has, what remediation will occur prior to demolition. And then there are guidelines that I'm sure the building department has regarding how they take the building down and mitigate any impact on adjacent.
Understood.
There's a whole process to it. There's a legal process to it. It's not a planning consideration, which is why we didn't come here prepared to talk about it. I have been involved with these cases before. There is a process. You have to make sure the building doesn't have asbestos in it. Because before you start tearing it apart, if there's asbestos, it's got to be removed properly. You have to have the property exterminated before you pull it down, before you demolish it.
It's not something.
It's a whole process.
It's the building department that would answer that question.
We'll comply with the law.
There's state laws that deal with this. You just can't.
Just let him finish what he was saying, because he obviously knows the process.
So like you have to have the property exterminated because you don't want your neighbor to knock down their house and have all the mice come over to your house. You got to kill all the mice first. There's a whole legal process to it.
This is helpful, thank you. For me, I just wanted to know, is that the planning board's purview to answer that question? I've been told it's not. Thank you for giving the context for that, because we're really interested since we're right across from the development. The other one is really around kind of and I'm not sure if it's done as part of an environmental assessment, the storm drainage, as you can tell, is a concern for the properties across from you. So is the modeling for that available? So I think she wanted to put some detail around the standards, et cetera, but I'm just wondering if the modeling itself is actually available.
It's up to the applicant.
Can they make it
Well,
available?
I think, are you asking for the details on the stormwater management?
The modeling itself.
Does anybody have a copy of the stormwater manual with them?
Of how much stormwater would be there.
It,
and-
it's about a foot, it's about a foot thick and it's on the website and it's been
Website.
it's been available for over a month.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Those are the two main questions, and is there an opportunity to review, once we've reviewed that, is there enough, well, never mind. I will come back to the planning board if I take a look at it and I have questions. Thank you.
You have a question? You're gonna have to come up to the front, yes. Could you say that louder, please?
Suzanne.
Last name?
Dezerga.
Can you spell it or yeah?
Question for you, very easy question. The entry roads, will they be the signage? Will there be lights? Will they be lit up and how bright?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, our, the sections are gonna be lit up, approximately somewhere, between 3-foot candles to 3.9-foot candles.
Okay, so that'll be in every entrance?
Section.
You did say that the road from BMW that goes across the front, parallel to Chestnut Ridge Road,
Okay,
that dead ends into that southmost entrance, that is staying.
that's staying, we're not touching.
Okay, because there's been, since the north building closed, there's been substantially more traffic going in and out of there. So I'm not sure if the traffic assessment was done prior to that building being closed. Because all the people that used to work in the north building would go out through the northern, more northern entrances. The people from the south building would just take that road and run it straight up and go out the north entrances. Now they're coming out that south entrance. So it's a little bit, the traffic pattern has changed.
When we get to the traffic engineer, I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
be able to answer that. My
But I can
guess
say
is that it was done more recently than they
Okay,
vacated,
good.
the building.
The other question is traffic, so I'm waiting. Thank you.
You're
Anyone else?
Just one more quick question, Leslie Mullins. Have you put in your plans to do any soil testing? We found out when we bought the Galaxy Gardens soil that it was all contaminated. And the normal procedure is for the seller to do any remediation of the soil of any contaminants. If you have an oil tank and it leaked it all, you have to be the seller in order to pay for that. We unfortunately bought property where the buyer was responsible for that, and I've never heard of that elsewhere. But I'm hoping that you will do the proper testing before you do anything else.
We have not done any soil testing in terms of contamination. With the soil testing for stormwater management purposes, we need to know infiltration rates and groundwater elevations.
Well, I hope you will be doing the soil testing.
Yeah, sure.
The DEP standard is very clear.
Any other questions?
That's a very good point, especially because that was orchards. So there's probably a tremendous amount of pesticide that will end up in your storm basins as runoff. And into wherever else it will go from there. It is a good point you make, but anyway. I know that, this is like the biggest project that Woodcliff Lake has ever undertaken, correct? Can anybody answer that?
As far as size?
As far as size, as far as, like the amount.
Definitely in the number of units. I don't know about as far as size. I mean, the whole
impervious
Stonewall project.
coverage.
I don't know how big the Stonewall property was acreage wise. That was bigger, I think, right?
I don't think anyone.
Couple hundred acres, no?
It's done an analysis, you mean by
Right.
square footage or?
Okay, so
By
with
acres?
the side,
Stonewall,
with
isn't each site
something of
al-
this
no,
size,
3/4.
have we
Quarter.
talked to Park Ridge Water?
Yes.
I believe
That
they
they
testified,
have
they
no
testified they
problem
had that, yeah.
With, adding this additional,
Every applicant's required to check with the utilities.
okay, so that's been done already?
Yes.
Charging us $500,000.
Yes, CNG will bring power in one location. Is that correct? And where is it coming from? Hillsdale?
From.
The substation?
Ridge Road, that's
Okay,
the
but
connection.
okay, and everything's there already? They're not gonna have to add additional lines in order to like run those telephone poles up our streets?
For Park Bridge, we made a submission for the units to make sure that they can accommodate us, and we got a positive feedback that they're gonna, have enough water for us. For the electricity, usually that takes on later on. The MEP engineer has to do with the load calculations of what's needed for the project, and
Right.
and they deal directly with the utility company. That the civil engineer doesn't really do that.
So you won't know until we're into the project how it's gonna affect the outlying areas, is
When I
that
tell
right?
you, everything's gonna be underground, so it's not gonna impact any residents.
So when it comes from the substation, you're gonna run it underground till it gets to,
The electrical engineer will work with the utility company, PSC and G, to
Right.
make sure exactly where it needs to come from.
okay, but anything that's gonna be done to feed this project is gonna be underground,
Correct.
okay, okay. Not just at the project site,
Everything will be on the ground.
okay. All right, but you are hooking into, you're hooking into our sewers at Chestnut Ridge?
Correct.
Or
Sorry,
are they-
You want to clear that up?
I do.
Okay. It's not going to come from the substation underground.
It's not gonna come
The
from.
question that was asked was. The answer to the question was that everything on site will be underground. I believe the question that the lady was asking was. Whether or not it will be underground from the power source offsite.
Right,
And the answer is you don't know that.
No.
You don't know that. Okay.
okay.
I just didn't want you.
Right, that's
didn't
what I
want
was
you to
curious
hear a
about,
different
yeah,
answer.
cause I heard it was all gonna be
So,
underground,
on-site,
Okay.
all underground, how it gets there is yet to be determined
right,
by the MEP engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer, and the utility.
And it wouldn't be up to the applicant or the board to choose how it gets there.
it was, I'm saying that.
It would not be up to the applicant or the board to
Right,
choose
okay,
how it gets
right.
there from the station. But from their property line, they'll be underground. As much as they could control will be underground.
Okay, so we don't know where it's coming from though.
That's up to the utility company. If
Right,
it comes
right.
from Hillsdale or wherever the other ones are,
Right,
they make that determination. They have to bring the power to.
okay. And the streets that we're seeing here, this road A, road B, all of that, are those then, do they become town roads? So we're responsible for maintenance of them?
No, they're all private roads.
Okay, and what about garbage disposal and that?
Private.
That's all private as well?
Yes.
Okay, all right, because I know that we 188, we take care of their garbage, right?
No.
We do not, that's also private?
All private.
Okay, so all of their, all of the plowing and
Private.
that will all be taken care of, okay, good.
Don't want private.
And so, what's that?
Stonewall
No,
Public.
no, sorry, no.
Will our police department be responsible for covering those roads though, even
Yes.
though they are private? And the parking
Of course.
garage and all
It's the
that?
police department and the
No,
emergency
I'm just
services,
thinking, I
yeah.
don't know, maybe they have private security and they,
They may choose
yeah.
to have private security, but our police force will have access, our emergency service vehicles will have.
Okay, of course, but I'm just saying, is it their responsibility, 24/7 to patrol those areas as well?
No different than they're responsible for everyone else in town.
Okay, all right, just curious.
Yeah.
And the generators that you talked about before, those are they're just backup energy for. Like, they're not gonna, if my lights go out in my kitchen and I don't have a rental unit in that. That's not what it's gonna help with, it's just gonna help with hallways and the emergency lighting and all that, correct?
Again, that's the electrical engineer, the architect.
Oh, okay. All right. No, you had mentioned that. Okay.
Location.
Okay. All right, and can we control those dump trucks and how they get to the site? I know that you'll work with the police on,
As far as
You
the
know, if you
route,
need
the route that
security
they
in that.
take them.
yeah, the routes that they take, so they're gonna come past the school just as. Possibly as much as they come up Overlook and,
It would probably depend on where they're coming from, but it's
Right,
not
right.
up to us to, we can't, it's not our jurisdiction.
but we can't restrict them during school hours or anything like that.
Well, they're,
Or ask that, as a courtesy,
I think
That they're
that
not-
the contractors will do it in a way that they make sure they have the least liability possible.
Right.
They're not gonna be trying to go during school hours with,
right,
200 trucks.
to the extent that it can be done by agreement between the developer and the governing body in terms
Right.
of like construction and how it's done and the time it's done. And the phasing of it would be by agreement between the governing body and the developer.
Okay, so so you can control it, are you saying?
Well, I don't know what you mean by
What-
control. There can be some type of plan with regard to construction and phasing and, you mentioned like the traffic pattern and perhaps that's something that can be discussed or looked at.
Right, I'm just like, I think it makes sense with our, our current situation in front of the schools. And it's not safe to begin with, we've had kids hit by cars.
It would only take one driver one time to realize that going during drop off or pickup, it's not a good idea to go down Woodcliff.
Right,
So
of course.
they know the routes.
I'm
They
almost-
know what not to do.
I'm almost positive, Mr. Berlin, that you have to, but the contractor has to put the roadways in which he's taking with the trucks that size, so it has to be mapped out. So it is mapped out through the contractor takes care of
It
it.
is, because
Not through us, that's the, yeah, any of the dump trucks that have to go where the dirt's going, where it's coming from, where it's going, has to be all logged in, and that's
Okay,
way outside of us. That goes
okay,
through.
and that's just all done with
Yeah, the contractor takes that. They have to map each road you go, because sometimes you're on county road, sometimes you're on town road. You have to
Right,
announce where you're
right.
going, what you're doing, what size trucks you're doing, because there's also
okay.
weight limits on any of the roads, and you guys can answer better than. Just no
It
way.
would happen through the building department as a
Yes.
part of that process.
Okay, all right, so it can be requested or no?
I don't know if it could be requested, but. Regulated. Yeah,
It's regulated.
it has to be known, a plan has to be put in place and it's submitted as a part to the building department as part of that process.
Okay, so that is part of the whole thing that gets signed on. Okay, good, thank you.
Mr. Taylor, your turn.
It is that
So,
March
I
target.
just said, approximately the number of figures I saw on here went into the number of cubic feet of soil that will be moved. My math shows it's about 1 million pounds of soil, give or take 10%, the soil has its own density, et cetera. And yet I hear this over a 52-day period, that means roughly you got 52 into 1 million pounds, says you got 20,000 pounds a day. I don't know how much these trucks that would be moving the soil would be each, if they're 4 tons. Is that somewhere in the ballpark?
Is there a question for the engineer?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out how many trucks they're really talking about on a daily basis for 52 days. 52 days can easily become 75 or 100, depending on the floods, depending on the weather, et cetera. 52 is an estimate, but that's a good estimate.
So
You know what happens
is the question, how many trucks a day at 52 days? Is that the question?
How many pounds of soil in each truck that would be traveling over our roads? Right.
I mean, this is just not a land use consideration. with all due
Again,
respect.
those are all regulated. I think he stated that they're gonna be 20 yard,
Assuming
assuming a 20-yard tandem.
Then I've put to the PS and S figure that says that it's talking about sanitary sewer flow. I mean, if you got water, we also have sewer, right? That's going through us. That talks about a total projected flow. And it starts out with a projected flow, and then it says, wait a second, it says building number 1 is being existed and saying, oh, it's got an estimated sewer flow, and it gives it a credit of 22,000 gallons per day. Are we talking about the existing building that is up there?
That's correct.
Building shut down, there ain't no flow. So the hell with your 22,000 credit? There's no flow. How can you take credit for it? It hasn't been in a year.
Okay.
When it was engineered and when it was built, it was designed to carry that flow.
That may be, but this is over projections. You're gonna be sending, let's see, 94,000 gallons per day. That's what you're gonna be sending. It's not 72,000 that you have on your sheet. It's 94,000. So do your math.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Montana,
Thank
have you been in contact with the Bergen County Utility Authority?
Yes.
And they know how many units are going in here?
Yes.
And they know how many bedrooms are in the units? And they are in agreement that they can service the facility? And you have that in writing from them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we're sharing that information with our experts in Woodcliff Lake? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the witness?
motion to close to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess, Mark. if you don't
That's fine,
mind.
thank you.
Just kidding.
Thank you. Oh, no.
I'm afraid private.
Is that better?
I heard it.
Okay.
I stopped talking.
You didn't hear the first
Trying to
one.
fix my hearing.
So, Mr. Lehman, I believe you have your last witness tonight?
We do. We'd like to call Matt Seckler, our traffic expert. He's also a professional planner.
Has he been sworn in yet?
He has not been.
Okay, before you do that, just a second, your site plan documents, we didn't, I don't think we marked that.
That they were in the pre.
So the landscape plan that Mr. Carmen testified to, I noted as A4. And then A5, I had the two-page exhibit FM, started with FM1, and I think it was C-09. And then A6, I marked as the civil engineering plans that had been submitted with the application.
Okay, so that's like what we got, like CO1 through
Well, with them.
C39?
Yes.
Okay,
Hold on.
okay, all right, that's A.
And then we were talking during the break about entering the response letter from PS&S as I think A7.
Right, that was his response letter dated November 20th, 2025.
So that would be in the record. And I think that's everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Your full name and business address, please?
My name is Matthew Seckler. That's Seckler. I'm with Stonefield Engineering Design. Address is 92 Park Avenue in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Mr. Seckler, are you a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
And you practice primarily in the area of traffic engineering?
Correct.
You know all the good shortcuts around Bergen County?
There aren't many left.
This is what you do for them. You testify at meetings like this.
Yes, I've testified 100 nights this year and probably been before over 150 boards in the state of New Jersey overall.
And you study traffic and create traffic analysis, and you did a traffic report here.
Yes, I have.
You're also a professional planner,
Yes, I have a master's in city and regional planning, and I am a licensed planner in the state.
and you testify routinely for boards such as this as a professional planner.
In fact, probably at least 75 to 100 boards.
We'll accept.
Mr. Seckler, would you please describe your findings and traffic flow on the site? If you have exhibits, if you'd like to share electronically, physically, feel free to go ahead.
Yep, so we did prepare a traffic impact study. It was dated September 25th, 2025. I'll briefly go through what data we collected, the methodology we followed, and then the conclusions of the study.
No, that's the.
So as part of the traffic study, the first thing we do is we collect traffic data, which is primarily traffic counts. So we actually went out to site, it was almost a year ago on Thursday, December 5th, 2024, from 7 in the morning to 9 in the morning and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. to capture the peak hours of traffic that typically drive by this site. We also collected traffic on Saturday, December 7th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's your typical kind of retail peak when you see, people running around, they're doing their errands, dropping their kids off at various sporting events. Because as a traffic engineer, we like to study when was the traffic the worst during the day. So we do that 7 to 9 in the morning, 4 to 7 p.m. on the weekdays, and 11 to 2 in the afternoon on a weekend to get when is that worst time period. And we found in this area, 7:45 to 8:45 is the bad morning hour, 4:30 to 5:30 is the evening peak hour, and 12:15 to 1:15 was that Saturday peak period. Now, we did these counts at a number of intersections. We started in the north, way of the north of the site at County Road and Chestnut Ridge Road, did the intersection of Chestnut Ridge and Glen and the Saddle River Grand Complex. We also counted the driveways for the existing BMW site that will be removing the existing office building and adding this development to. And we also did the counts at the Garden State Plaza, Garden State Parkway ramps, both on and off along Glen. So we basically did a pretty significant study area. And again, really wanted to study and understand what traffic was like during those peak hours. Now, obviously, the intersection that we affect the most, being based on our proximity, is the signalized intersection of Chestnut and Glen. I would say the signal phasing there is very beneficial depending on which direction of traffic you are going. If you are coming on Glen, making a right turn on Chestnut Ridge, you got a green light, either a regular green or your arrow up a significant amount of the time. If you're coming southbound or making that double left-hand turn, also runs pretty clean and smooth. The other directions, if you're coming northbound on Chestnut Ridge at that intersection or Glen making a left turn, you wait a little bit longer because you don't get the benefit of that overlapping green phase, that kind of left turn, right turn overlap. You don't get the benefit of that. But in looking at the traffic volumes, really, if you look at Chestnut Ridge along our site frontage, not significantly high volumes when you consider it's a county roadway with 2 lanes in each direction. You're looking at volumes in a busiest hour in the 200 to 300 range. Typically, you would see that in, let's say, a 1-lane road in each direction. You got 2 lanes here, which may be why, based on my experience driving by and looking at the site, people may be driving a little bit faster than the 40 miles an hour that is signed in that direction. But again, that area there is not, I would say, the heavily traveled portion of Chestnut Ridge Road. Again, I do, from our traffic volumes, we do see a significant amount of traffic following that overlap movement, heading to the Parkway in the morning, to go southbound the Parkway or coming home in the opposite direction. So we did see that kind of heavy flow. In addition to those counts that we performed in 2024, we also look at nearby developments that were approved but were not built at the time of our traffic study counts. We did identify the Goddard School, which was replacing the old Bank of New Jersey, kind of north of the site. So we accounted for the traffic generated by that. That was not open in 2024. We did the counts, so we did account for that traffic as well. And then we also utilize a growth rate factor. This is a number that DOT publishes every 2 to 3 years, which reflects what they expect their all roadways to kind of increase in traffic over time. So for Bergen County, the arterial roadways that were around, the DOT expects them to increase in traffic 2.75% each year for the next 3 years. That accounts for, other developments in nearby towns that may be a little more than a half mile or a mile away that we don't gather a traffic study for. It could reflect some vacancies being refilled. If there's a shopping center that has 20,000 square feet empty, that something's coming in, that growth rate factor basically accounts for that other growth that you'd experience on the roadway. So again, we start with the base number that we did counts in 2024. We added in the Goddard School. We added in that growth rate factor, and that basically lets us look into the future 2 to 3 years on what traffic would be like at those intersections we studied, even if no development happens. So again, if the BMW buildings stay vacant, there's no traffic, what would traffic be like in this area? Then we utilize a book called the ITE Trip Generation Manual. That's the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual, which myself, traffic engineers, the county, the DOT utilizes to project what future sites will generate in terms of levels of traffic. This is based on studies where engineers like myself have counted the number of cars that go out of a townhouse development that's 50 units or a 300-unit multifamily building. How many cars are going in and out of the garage? How many Amazons are coming up? How many DoorDash? Any car that comes on the site, we count. We collect that data, we send it to the DOT, they compile, we send it to the ITE, they compile that data, and they basically publish this data set that allows us to project how much traffic future sites would generate. So we take those traffic volumes that we had collected on the roads with all the Goddard School and those other growth rate factors, and then we add on what our development would generate in terms of levels of traffic. In terms of quantity or number of vehicles you'd be expecting during the busiest hours, depending on the hour, this site would be expected to generate anywhere between 166 to 186 new cars on the roadway in an hour. So about 3 vehicles a minute in the worst case scenario. But I do want to remind the board that this is replacing a previous development. This is replacing the BMW building. Obviously, the BMW building has not been fully occupied for a number of years, may have never actually been fully occupied, but a development of the development of a office building, a corporate office building of that size would actually be able to typically generate about 200 to 300 trips in a peak hour. So you'd expect that BMW building, if it was fully churning, to actually generate a little bit more than what we are proposing for this development. That said, we did take that, 166 to 186 new cars an hour, and we added that to the roadway network. We routed people based on their best routes to work. To do so, we actually looked at Woodcliff Lake's journey to work model, which is basically where people work. People that live in Woodcliff Lake, where do they work? We, a certain percent work in Newark, New York, Paramus, and we basically route the trips. We actually have a unusual area here where it's not the easiest to get to certain directions of the parkway or from certain directions of the parkway. So not everyone luckily could take the easy right out of our site, right? If they want to work north, if they work north of here, it's a little bit convoluted to get to areas north on the Garden State Parkway. But again, we did route vehicle traffic in that way. We looked at what was the impact. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You were in front of me and I could see them panicking. I appreciate that.
I can't do that.
So what we typically do is, after looking at the traffic volumes we're adding, is we look at what is the difference in delay? How much increased delay will someone experience at the traffic lights or at the driveways that we studied with the additional traffic that we're generating with this development? So we run that analysis. We actually find that the amount of delay we're increasing is in the fraction of a couple seconds at most in the worst case scenario. So if you're at the traffic light right now, Chestnut Ridge and Glen, if you're the third car in line going northbound with this type of development, you're probably looking at being the fourth car in line. You're still probably getting through in the green light. You have to wait a little bit longer because you're the fourth car instead of the third car, but you're still generally getting through in that green light. So the increase in traffic that we're looking at here and the impact they have on these nearby traffic lights are not significant, again, because we're talking about increases in traffic in the 1 to 2 second range, which is really imperceptible to most drivers. They're not going to know that their commute got 3 seconds longer. They're not going to feel that difference. So there is not a significant change in the level of service or delay that vehicles would experience coming in and out of our site. One thing we did do is we wanted to ensure that the driveways would operate effectively and sufficiently. Obviously, there are some changes to the driveways as proposed. I think the site engineer had gone over that the existing, we'll say the northern driveway that exists today is, I would say, being shifted a little bit further from the intersection, not having that kind of channelized right turn movement. That is what's going to be Road B. And then we have an additional driveway closer to the intersection of Glen Road that'll be primarily utilized for the townhouses, supportive housing, and the retail development. We did review with the county our driveway locations, the number of driveways, and the movements allowed at the driveways. The county had significant interest or specific interest on our Glen Road driveway based on the proximity to not only the traffic light, but also the Garden State Parkway ramp. And as mentioned, the driveway that's now being constructed the closest to Glen Road. Based on our conversations with the county, in their review, they are agreeable to the movements that we're proposing, which would be Glen Road to be a right in, right out driveway, and all of the driveways along Chestnut Ridge being full movement driveways, allowing left turns and right turns in and out of the driveways. We did review site distance, and site distance, that calculation is dependent on the speed of the vehicles that travel along Chestnut Ridge Road. Typically, when we review site distance, we go 5 miles an hour above the posted speed limit. So in this case, you would need to be able to see 500 feet in either direction if you're at the driveway looking left or right. We actually upped it 10 miles an hour above, which is 550 feet looking left and right of the driveway, because we did notice vehicles on Chestnut Ridge Road travel above the speed limit, and there still is appropriate sight distance for turning into or out of those driveways. So again, we want to provide that little extra comfort knowing that vehicles on this corridor travel a little bit faster than what the posted speed limit is. But again, our driveway access points, they're all under the jurisdiction of the DOT of the county. And again, they have found that their locations are acceptable. They do have a couple of comments or improvements they're looking for the applicant to make. One of which is if you're coming southbound on Chestnut Ridge Road, right now there's those overhead signs that indicate which lane is left turn only, which one is left and through movement, and which one is through and right. There's also a parkway sign on there to let people know to make a left turn for the parkway. They want that parkway sign to be relocated and moved so it's over the center lane, so that vehicles to go to the Parkway end up in the right lane on Glen, so they don't have to weave over at the last minute to get onto the Parkway. Yes, we've been out there with drones. We want to see we specifically studied the weaving for our driveway and the Parkway. And we did notice that late movement over, so they want the sign that's up there that's kind of, actually kind of splits both lanes. It's kind of like right over the dotted white line. They want it moved over to the center lane specifically, and they want us to look at putting striping down that would indicate kind of Parkway ahead or Parkway for that centermost lane. So that hopefully is an improvement that, really doesn't affect the applicant. Their traffic's not going to the Parkway from that direction, but the county's looking to kind of clean up or help improve, notifying drivers in that direction. They also want, there's some improvements that are to be made to the intersection to improve the ADA accessibility. Right now, some of the push buttons out there are not at the appropriate locations, so the applicant is agreeable to working with the county and installing the push buttons so that they're at the appropriate locations with the appropriate walk, don't walk, and countdown timers that are currently required based on the latest federal standards. So the applicant is looking to make those improvements to satisfy the county's comment letter that we had, and that was based on a meeting we had with them last week, just to kind of go over their final review of the project. But I wanted to let the board know that because those are two issues that I think affect not necessarily the residents of this development, but likely a lot of the residents in the community. So I wanted to bring that to the board's attention. Overall, on site, you heard testimony regarding parking. This application is parking compliant, meaning that we do meet the appropriate quantity of parking. We also meet the ADA and EV parking requirements that are either federally regulated or state regulated, depending on which regulation we're discussing. And so I want to, again, be clear to the board that we are compliant with the amount of parking. That includes the parking for the multifamily building, the townhouses, the supportive housing, and the retail. They're all individually compliant. And then obviously you put them all together, they're still compliant. So overall, from a traffic engineering perspective, just to kind of review what we did and and the conclusions. We did traffic counts about a year ago during the busiest time periods on the road. We added in not just our development of traffic, but also nearby developments and included the DOT expected growth rate on the roadways. We found that the increase in traffic related to this development is actually less than, or slightly less than what a full corporate office of the size that the BMW office we're replacing on the site would generate. Although again, I'm not stating that's what they generated. I'm just saying that's, if we were to build a development of that size, I'd be here saying we'd be generating about 200 or more trips an hour versus the 186 or 166, depending on the hour we're talking about. And when we add the traffic that we're talking about related to this development, the increase in delay at some nearby intersections are typically in the range of 2 seconds of increased delay or less, which is not a significant amount of traffic. The driveways have been designed to meet the appropriate design standards outlined by the county. And we did, for good measure, increase the site distance calculations based on a higher speed of travel for vehicles along Chestnut Ridge Road, kind of accounting for, I would say, typical driver behavior in this area that we've noticed. So overall, again, our conclusions are there's no significant negative impact as it relates to traffic. We believe we met the threshold for a planning board application that is for a use that's permitted in the zone based on the redevelopment plan, and the site's been designed appropriately and safely.
No variances required for this application.
No, you want me to talk about that for a second? Very briefly. Yeah, so again, this application does not have any variances based on the redevelopment plan that that was I believe adopted right around July 21st, 2025. I believe that's the date of the redevelopment plan. Just kind of talking about some of the goals within that redevelopment plan. One was to improve aesthetics of the property. Another one was to provide additional affordable housing that satisfies the fair share obligation for Woodcliff Lake. Another one was talking about a transfer of vacant, underutilized buildings to a more productive mixed-use project, and to add retail and public space to this property. Again, this site previously, while it had the BMW headquarters, really did not have any public amenities of any type. It was really only utilized by the people of the BMW building. I think what you've seen based on the renderings from the architect and the site engineer is an improvement to the property from an aesthetic point of view, and one that'll be more inviting to the public with the retail development, some of the public features, as well as some of the aesthetic improvements, especially the corner area along Glen Road where we saw the nice Woodcliff Lake sign. So overall, again, I believe this application with having no variances is an approvable from a planner's perspective.
Board members? I have a couple, sorry, this has been asked 1,000 times to me and I couldn't answer. You're coming down Chestnut Ridge South. You can turn left turns into any of those driveways?
Any of those driveways. And again, that's based on feedback from the county. The county said can't have left turn, we would
No, that's
stick
right.
with left turn.
The only spot it's right turn only onto Glen. No, you can't turn in from Glen unless it's a right turn in and a right turn out.
Correct. Right turn in, right turn out. There's be a island in the middle, so you can't make a left turn out and you can't make a left turn in. That was something the county was very specific about.
You counted the gardens, which is about 1.5 miles away, but you didn't count Party City, you didn't count the Hilton Hotel, which is 0.5 mile. Which are gonna be massive redevelopments. I think you missed those two.
So again, we utilized having done this report in 2024, was when we collected the data. That was the time period in which we asked the planning board secretary, I think at the time, of what developments we should be including within this based on, what has been approved and not yet constructed. Again, the 2.5 or 2.75% growth rate factor is intended to, kind of increase the volumes on the roadways to account for other vacancies. I will say, when we do these traffic studies, that if we added those developments, that just lifts the baseline. What I typically look at is what's the delta? What's the delta between if we do nothing on this property and if we do something on this property? So yes, if there are those redevelopments go through and get built, they're going to kind of increase, let's say the floor. But what I'm looking at is the difference between that floor and the ceiling, which would be what this development is. So it wouldn't change my conclusions. It would just, perhaps just raise the floor a bit.
Third question, on Chestnut Ridge Road, you're heading south. You're just talking about turning left into the driveways. Did the county require or mention anything about turning lanes?
We asked them if they would require a turning lane. They said no. We would have provided one if they asked for one.
The conversation and application with the county is completed. That's
We-
the final,
We made a formal application. They asked us for a meeting on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday last week, in which they wanted to discuss traffic and drainage questions. And they told us they'd be issuing their formal, letter, in the coming days. Obviously, if the county changes their position or in the letter says, hey, you can't have left turns or you need to have a left turn bay, obviously revised plans on our end would have to be created.
Anthony? Brian?
one quick question.
Go ahead, Cindy.
You talk about pedestrian circulation.
Certainly.
Inside the site. If you're gonna go from the multifamily complex through the townhomes, to let's say the retail, there's the. What road is it? The big road that's too small. With the sidewalk on either side, it's got streets facing each other.
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to create that's the thoroughfare? To get through as opposed to the street that's a little to the west, which is all driveways? No sidewalks in that.
So I think there's a path behind those buildings as opposed to in that street. So if you were, let's say, walking close to the parkway, you're right, you'd use Road D, which has the sidewalks on either side. I believe there's sidewalks kind of behind the townhouses on Road F closer to Chestnut Ridge Road, and then I think you also have the walking path there.
And the east side of the easternmost townhomes.
To the east side of the easternmost townhomes, yeah, I believe there's a walking trail, but I think there's also sidewalk at the back of those as well.
I don't see a sidewalk, would be crossing the driveway or something.
No, behind those buildings.
That's
Yeah,
on
right
Road E.
now,
On Road E, would there be a sidewalk? I think that's his question.
No,
In
road
front of the driveways, right?
driveways.
Walkway or the walking path behind the parking on Road E, east of Road E, there's a walking path, right? But along the driveways of the townhomes on Road E, the west side of Road E, there's sidewalk or no sidewalk?
So Road E does not have Road F or Road E?
I could be.
Road
That's
E,
a-
Road E has sidewalk off the street, but not in front of the townhomes. Road D has sidewalks on both sides. Road F has no sidewalks. It's basically like an alley. There are sidewalks to the west of the townhomes on Road F. I don't know if you see, there's a, so.
That can,
so-
connects the two entrances.
That connects to, and then you have the walking path. So really, Road F to me is almost like an alley. That's really just driveways, just kind of driveways for those buildings. And I would almost, from a pedestrian perspective, really the front of those homes are the ones that kind of, they would face, Chestnut Ridge Road.
Right, and Sanjeev, on the east side of the townhomes, on the west side of Road E, I do not see a sidewalk there. Just the walking path.
Correct. We don't have any sidewalks across the townhome driveways, but we have sidewalks basically that,
Walking path and then on the west side of that townhomes.
Correct.
Which is on Road D, on both sides of Road D.
So Road D basically has sidewalk on both sides, that's
Yep.
the main thoroughfare, that's fine.
because it has no driveways. The idea is that's gonna be like
Pedestrian.
that's gonna be like a pedestrian with on-street parking. The way that I would think about it, that's like, I would say proper urban design is you put the driveways behind the house and you have, continuous frontage walking. So that's what Road D essentially is. And then again, we have a sidewalk on the west side of the townhomes that front on Road F. So you're not forced to go to the meandering walking path.
Right.
You still have a direct connection to that spot. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 5 kind of connections.
North and south.
North and south. One is the walking path that I would say is meandering, but the other 4 are pretty direct.
Right.
So Matt, you've answered this question, but I just would like you to talk more about it. It's the question that's been raised before about southbound left-hand turns into these 3 driveway entrances. There are 2 lanes northbound, 2 lanes southbound, meaning that left-hand turn, any one of those intersections is gonna back up one of those lanes, allow traffic to go around in the other one. Did you run calculations? Did you share that with the county regarding the delayed response in the left turn lanes, the amount of cars that would back up based on a vehicle traveling over 40 miles an hour? And the middle one has a bend in Chestnut Ridge Road, which would be concerning to me given the speed of vehicles traveling northbound. So could you talk a little bit more about your analysis of backing of the backup left turn lanes into those 3? And what conversations you had with the county about?
Yeah, so we provided our full traffic impact study to the county, which includes the delay calculations that you're referring to, as well as the traffic volumes across each of the driveways. One of the, I think, important factors here is that if Chestnut Ridge Road was busier, let's say especially in the northbound direction, I think needing a left turn lane or the county's position to needing a left turn lane, I think would be I think would be required. However, the traffic volume in Chestnut Ridge Road, the opposing volume, so that's the traffic that's going north when you're going south,
That you have to cross.
that you have to cross, that's not,
Get into the driveway.
right, that's not as heavy as many other roads. I mean, you're talking about in the morning peak hour, let's say 313 vehicles. Actually, that includes some vehicles that were leaving a driveway. 260 vehicles going northbound in an hour over 2 lanes is not a very high number. If that number was 450, 500 vehicles, then the issue for vehicles waiting to make a left turn in, they may have to wait 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, it becomes an issue. But because the volume actually opposing is very light, it's much easier to make that left turn in where you don't have to wait a significant amount of time.
So you indicated that there's a annual increase as part of the analysis, 2.5%, I think.
2.75, but
So at what point, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, does it become a scenario in which making that left turn southbound becomes a significant issue? And is it something that should be dealt with sooner than later, since the developer's building the project?
So the way that I would handle is that first off, the DOT, they only project these volumes out 2 to 3 years. If you do long-term projections, if you were doing a full new roadway, you'd likely utilize growth rate factors in the average of like 0.3 or 0.4% over 20 years, just because these are very specific short-term growth rates. But I would say that all of these driveways can continue to be monitored for, their safety going to the future. So if there is a reason, let's say there's a huge development south of here and you end up increasing that number from 300 vehicles an hour to 600 vehicles an hour, it's, I would say, pretty easy to then restrict left turns if that becomes an issue in the future. However, again, with the volumes that we're seeing now, I don't see there being an issue with having left turns into these driveways. Again, based on the volumes that we're seeing there.
One last question.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one of the exhibits from the landscape architect who had some motorcycle holders and that's not really the road. Is I forget what exhibit that is, I apologize. A4 these is there even room to provide a dedicated left-hand turn lane, even if it's not now, but it's 10 years from? It appears to me that it would be difficult to achieve a designated left turn lane on the top of Chestnut Ridge Road with any one of these. I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
Well, I would say that there's no restriction other than the berm construction. Like, if you needed to widen the road, what you would do is you'd widen onto our property, let's say 13 feet or so, which there's no building or even drive aisle that would be impacted by a widening of, let's say, 13 feet. And then basically realign or shift the road so that we could add that left turn lane into the property. So
It wouldn't go toward the east, it would go towards the west, into your property would be the only way you could achieve it.
Correct.
Because of the power lines literally located back, correct?
not only the power lines, I wouldn't want to impact single family home development that currently exists on the other side of Chestnut Ridge Road, where we have, a significant amount of extra space along our property. Again, I think it's being well utilized for screening, buffering, and the walking trail, but that could be widened in the future 13 feet to allow for the construction of left turn bay.
Wouldn't that be up to the county more so than the applicant on?
It would be. I was interested in hearing Matt talk more about the conversation and the data that he went through with the county to show that it's not necessary.
Understood.
Now.
Right.
And then the concern always is, as the community grows,
Mhm.
how could that become, a hindrance to moving forward?
Again, if you wanted my opinion, I think Chestnut Ridge Road could be 1 lane in each direction as you get further from that signal, and you could utilize that space for a left turn bay also as an alternative. It's like a road diet style. Again, in this location, I'm not saying Chestnut Ridge Road everywhere should be, could be restricted. But I think this area is one of those areas where you can go from a 4-lane road to we call a 3-lane road, which is 1 lane each direction, then a left turn bay.
There's no issue with the abandoning the road and visitor.
Not where we've located it now. Again, also, we had although the driveway exists, the driveway that's furthest from the traffic light, that one, as opposed to a horizontal curve, has a bit of a vertical curve as you kind of go further south of the site. And again, we reviewed the site distance there and it still meets it at the higher speed.
Good. Did you review the Neglia report with regard to traffic?
Yes.
Okay, it spoke about the level of service of the existing driveway intersections.
Correct. And that was where I discussed really what the delta was. At most of these intersections, let me pull it up. At the signalized intersections that we studied, they currently operate in a overall A or B range. Level of service is expressed in a grade level where A is the most excess capacity and F is basically you're at a spot where it may take you multiple traffic lights to get through. Individual movements, as I mentioned, the northbound movement, we calculate that to operate at what was a level service D, again, because they have the least amount of green time. But overall, in terms of, the average time that someone would wait from any approach comes out to level service B, both with this development and without this development.
Okay, so when you give a report of the existing driveway intersections, what driveway intersections are we talking about?
I think that was in Neglia's report, but I believe they're probably talking about the existing driveways and intersections, but that's how I was reading it.
So you're talking about both the level of service B, both the ingress and egress?
Correct.
Okay, and I think you kind of explained it, but for members of the public, how do you grade these intersections? I mean, is it from A to F?
It's A to F, but I stress that the idea is not to design everything for A. Although you may want your children to get a grade A on everything, it's really a measurement of capacity. If every road was level of service A, it means you've probably built your roads too wide. And, I compare it to a pipe. Level of service A pipe, even in the heaviest storm, you have like a dribble of water going through. You kind of want to design your pipe for, that it's, nearly full on those worst storms. That means you pick the right size pipe. Same thing with roads. Roads you typically want during the worst time periods to operate level of service D. E means you're using their full capacity. F means you don't have a big enough road, you don't have a big enough pipe, and it's taken a couple of, road traffic backs up. Again, these intersections operate level of service B. Certain approaches may be in that D range because they don't have all the green time. They don't have as much green time, but again, that's still acceptable levels of service.
That testimony satisfy you?
Yes.
Okay, we need anything else from the traffic standpoint? That's all.
Motion to open to the public for questions of the witness.
Second.
All in favor? Miss in the front?
Jill Strasburg, Mulholland Drive, Cliff Lake. I'm curious if the traffic study accounted for making left turns out of the driveway of the complex south onto Woodcliff Lake.
I believe.
Be crossing the double yellow line. And will there be turning lanes or any additional traffic light added? Because of the volume, there's gonna be a large volume, as I'm sure you know, of people taking their kids to the elementary and middle school. There's gonna be people going to commuting to their jobs. There's gonna be a lot of traffic from that many people living in there, which is a lot different than people just driving into BMW. And at the Tice Corner Shopping Center, just a little bit off the road, when you are coming out of the shopping center, you cannot make go across the double yellow line to get out of the shopping center. You can only make a right turn going south. Can't make a turn going north, unless you're at one of the traffic lights. So I don't understand why this is different. Why the traffic?
I mean, I know that the strip mall in Montville where Fresh Market is, you could make a left, you could go northbound out of that
Okay,
parking lot.
but this is gonna be, how many people are we living in these units?
Again, you have a question for the traffic engineer?
Yeah.
So
What is it? Just so that he knows what it is. Can you make a left turn out of the complex to travel south across the
Well,
double?
it sounds like you can. And
That's the
it's not gonna
question.
be a problem, but it seems like if the county felt it was a problem at Tice Corners. And there's gonna be a huge amount of people living.
You answered the question. That will be up to the county. If the county wants no left turn out of this, the county could impose
Okay,
that condition.
all right, so. Well, sounds like an accident waiting to happen, but that's just my opinion. Okay, and then.
But listen, I do want to.
Yep.
Matt, can you talk about the difference between traffic volumes north of Glen and south of Glen as a part of answering the concern?
That's exactly what I was going to discuss. So just in terms of range of volumes, southbound on Chestnut Ridge Road at County Road. So again, basically one intersection north of Glen Road. In the evening peak hour, you have a volume of 1,250 cars coming southbound in that area. In front of our site, we have volumes of less than 400 cars southbound in front of our site. So the volume of traffic that exists north of Glen is like 4 times the amount of traffic, which is why likely the county has restricted movements out of, to right turn in and out, only making movements at signals, things like that. The volumes at this location where our driveways are significantly less, which is, again, I'm opining because the county is the one who makes the decision, why they allowed left turns here versus allowing left turns at that location.
Is the county the fact that considering people taking their children to, or school buses going to the elementary and middle school, which that they never had before?
So,
Is that taken into account?
1,000 cars.
yeah. So
Okay, so it's be people driving their kids to school and maybe they're gonna be making a left turn to go to the elementary and middle school. Was that taken into account in the traffic study?
yeah, so our traffic study, which is provided to the county, includes the trip generation that I discussed about. That trip generation includes commuter traffic, retail traffic. Someone's driving to the supermarket. It includes vehicles leaving with children to go to school, to go to daycare, people going on a joyride for fun. That trip generation that we accounted for, the additional traffic this site generates, was within the traffic study that the county reviewed. And again, that is based on the ITE trip generation data. So that is, engineers like myself have counted the amount of people that leave developments of this size. So we know how much traffic is expected, whether they're, a parent or a commuter.
When this site was developed as an office building, did the county put any restrictions on making left turns?
No.
And the office building trip generation during peak hours was how much more than
Well,
what you forecast?
I'm saying it's projected to be more. I don't know how it
Because when they
operates.
had to make the application to the county, they used those numbers.
They use those numbers and their numbers were in the 200 to the 250 range
And
an
we're
hour.
we're
in the 169 to,
And the county didn't, there was no existing
186.
restriction going southbound out of those.
correct.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify the question, Matt, when you go through your analysis, do you determine out of the 169 to 186 vehicles, how many vehicles are turning right on Glen, how many vehicles are turning right onto Chestnut, how many vehicles are turning left onto Chestnut? And can you talk to that in terms of the amount of cars that you're projecting to turn left to either deliver or drop off kids to school or go southbound on Chestnut or go northbound on?
Correct. So we utilize 2 methods to determine which path people would be leaving our site. One is utilizing what I call journey to work. That would be the commuting traffic, the commuting portion of traffic. And again, which we utilize, Woodcliff Lake census data for where people live in Woodcliff Lake, where do they work? So we see where they work and then route them accordingly. The other method we utilize, we look at the existing volumes on the road and basically mimic the current travel pattern. So if 60% of the traffic goes southbound in front of our site and 40% of the traffic goes north, we would distribute accordingly. Again, because, and again, there's been numerous studies about the expected amount of school-age children for buildings like this. The vast majority amount of traffic that occurs during the peak hour between 7:45 and 8:45 is the commuting traffic. So what you'll see is a large amount of the traffic being right turn out because they're getting on the Parkway southbound. Parkway southbound is the primary commuting. It's not all the commuting area, but that's the primary route for commuting traffic. And the primary trip in the morning is commuting traffic. The parent traffic or people going southbound, we do have total amongst the 3 driveways, 20 vehicles going southbound out of the site, making a left turn. Again, some of those are likely parents, some of those are people that during the morning peak hour, making the left turn out of the site driveways to go southbound. Again, that would include, if there's schools in the area, daycare in the area, things of that nature, utilizing that access, those access points.
Twice that, still be accepted.
Yes.
So if there's 1,000 parking spaces, you figure 10% would be commuting at times, during. I'm trying to understand I'm sorry, I don't know the math on that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So I would say the quick rule of thumb, if someone asks me how much traffic is this going to generate, it's about half the number of units leave during the peak hour. So you take the unit number, divide it by 2, that's roughly the amount of traffic that would leave during the peak hour. And again, that's because, it's 7:45 to 8:45, you may have, a 2-person, the next apartment over from you may have someone leaves at 9:30. They're not captured in our worst hour analysis, but they're still leaving the site later.
Did he answer your question?
Well, sort of, but I have another.
You have another
question about the Glen Road, exit. I understand if people live there, they're gonna understand they can only turn right onto Glen, and they're not be making U-turns. But if there are people who are visitors, they're not gonna have any clue.
It's not gonna be a convenient way. You would have to drive over a median in order to do that. He stated earlier.
They're gonna have to turn right, and then they're gonna be making U-turns in the neighborhood off of Glen Road, because they're not gonna have any clue that,
I mean, the
we
navigation.
should have went out
So-
Chestnut Ridge Road
Yeah,
entrance. Maybe there needs to be signage indicating. that.
So internal signage and wayfinding signage obviously is something that we could always provide, but I would state that if you're a visitor of this building, and you want to go, and your concern is someone's going to make the left out onto Glen Road, that's going to just put them back onto Chestnut Ridge, which would be much easier if they utilize any of the Chestnut Ridge driveway. So if you were going, let's say you want to make an illegal left out of Glen Road to make a right onto Chestnut Ridge, you would have just made a right out onto one of the 3 driveways on Chestnut Ridge to go northbound. Same thing with southbound. It's a lot easier to make a left directly onto Chestnut Ridge Road than making a legal left on Glen Road and then waiting at the light to make another left. So I think that if they want to get to Chestnut Ridge, they've got an easy way to do it. They don't need to make that illegal left.
Signage.
I'm
Yeah,
sure that they're gonna have appropriate signage on site.
So, the speed limits in the complex, or if there are gonna be any speed bumps in the neighborhood or in the garage, or speed limits, what they're gonna be.
So typically we wouldn't sign internal sites for speed limits unless there becomes an issue of kind of cut through speeding, things of that nature. Also, they're only enforceable if what's called as Title 39 is prepared and adopted, and basically we turn over the ability for ticketing to the municipality, which I don't know if that's a thought or here or
I
not.
think that's something that will be addressed in the development agreement. I don't think we've discussed that with the governing body yet.
And again, something that the developer could, if they wanted to add speed bumps, they could add speed bumps. If they wanted to add signage, they could add signage. Right. Thank you. We are gonna need to extend the meeting because I think there's some people in the audience that want to ask some.
You want me to make a motion?
I think that's a great motion.
A motion to extend the meeting, do I have to give a time?
Yes.
Till 10,
Half.
10:30. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No. Are you in favor?
Thanks, Tom.
Who's next? Can we get? Come on. Wanted to get somebody who hasn't spoken. That's you, that's Larry Higgins.
Just Higgins with Conflict. I just wanted to discuss it. A lot of people live in there, a lot of people will be probably commuting by the railroad system we have in town. And the problem being is we do not have sufficient amount of parking down there. Are they going to make some arrangement to have a bus that will take these people down?
I don't think the applicant has a desire or they have a plan to have a jitney or a shuttle to the train station at this point. I think typically what they have is these buildings kind of mature and they realize whether that's a marketing feature they want to provide or that's something that their residents kind of are demanding. So I do know there are other sites of theirs that have it, but I don't think there's one explicit for this site at this point.
That's it. Okay. Cool.
Au contraire, state has very much said that they wish to have any development going on, use public transportation to get to work.
Do you have a question for the traffic
Yes, the
engineer?
question is, how are we going to get people from low-income housing to the train station when they probably can't afford a car?
Is that to the traffic engineer? I think that's the same question that was just asked, but okay.
Yeah. So again, the applicant at this point does not have a shuttle or jitney service, I'd say scheduled for this site. They do have it at other locations, so it's possible that is something that ends up being part of their amenity
Sounds like if
package.
the need arises, the develop,
Yeah.
they'll operate it that way.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, and on the flip side of that, if they do have a car, we have just about the right number of parking spaces for the existing residents.
I don't think you have enough, actually.
I agree with you, but if we're adding how many more people, including the luxury units, they're gonna have cars that they need to park there.
They're not gonna, but it's gonna come on the first, they're gonna have to get there early.
You'll go to Rockville, you go to
Right.
Hillsdale.
They have, yeah.
I'm on the train every day for 29 years.
Yeah.
I'm on the 6:10 in the morning. You want a parking spot? You're right.
6:10 in the morning.
That's it.
There's your answer.
First come, first served.
Any other questions for the traffic engineer?
We talked about Glen Road and keeping people from coming out and making a left. The only way you're gonna stop that is have a median in the middle of Glen Road. If not, 'cause I see people all the time making the left into the Bristol.
Did you testify that there's gonna be curbing on the entrance and exit, Glen,
Yeah,
correct?
we'll have the full
Yeah.
full island. Again, I don't know the
There'll be
Bristol.
no Glen
with
there,
the-
that you would have to drive over a 6-inch curb in order to make a left there.
You'd be surprised what they're going.
All right, you know, we need to try to conclude this meeting and we've given a lot of latitude because there are a lot of comments made when you're supposed to just ask questions of the witness. So we're going to have to limit it to questions now. You make comments at the end, but you've all made comments during the process, so.
But this is the one time to ask you.
Mr. Taylor, please, you'll have your turn, please.
All I'm saying is this is the one opportunity for a resident to address the experts.
It's your opportunity to cross-examine the witness, yes. Miss, you had a question.
Well, I don't, so I hopefully you don't get into it. Last year, I'm 28 years on Chestnut Ridge Road, so I'm not his expert, but I think I'm an expert on Chestnut Ridge Road. And the traffic to an extent. I raised my children here and
wanna
I
test-
drove them to school every day.
You want to testify?
Sure.
To raise your-
Anyway, okay,
Okay, you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
when the BMW
Did
building
you
was
state your name for
open.
the record?
Oh, Suzanne, I'm so sorry. There were, I live diagonally across from what will be the southernmost entrance to the complex. And there would be 4 cars, at least 4 cars, waiting to make that left turn, just for information. I appreciate your comment about the curb. That is a blind curve for the people who live on the other side of the street. I have a horseshoe driveway. I will pull out of the north driveway because I don't see the cars coming until they're very close. And they're going 45, 50, because the speed limit's 40. They're going at least 5, 10 miles an hour faster. So I know it's worse for the people there, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with Van Riper. He lived a few houses up from me and had mentioned to me on multiple occasions he'd been rear-ended trying to pull in his driveway. So I do thank you for the information about the parkway, the signage on the southbound. I've seen many cars being driven up onto the lawn on Glen Road. So there's some things I know it's not a question, but things that I think should be made aware. I don't know how the roads are gonna work in the complex, but you mentioned the traffic light that's painted red. What's stopping people from cutting through that complex and pulling out on Glen Road to avoid sitting at that light for 5 minutes?
To try to go north on Chestnut Ridge?
To make the right on red,
Yeah.
can't make a right on red there.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
what's stopping somebody who wants to turn on Glen Road from going through this complex? To avoid having to sit, because that light seems endless. I've 28 years, I sat there. There's not enough sidewalks in this town that I would allow my kids to walk to school. So I drove them both to grammar school and high school every day. And I saw how the traffic was at that intersection, many cars driven up onto the grass because of the signage, so I appreciate that you're doing that. But I would ask if maybe somebody here, if you have contact with the county to consider reducing the speed limit, even though it is a 4-lane road. Because it is gonna be difficult for the left turning and people pulling out of their driveways from across the street. Because people definitely go at least 50 miles an hour, it's minimum. And it's 35 at the end of the block and they're still going 50. So there's a lot of safety issues that I don't know that you maybe aren't aware of. Because I know I've seen since the Tice Mall opened, the traffic has doubled. And it's a lot harder for me to get out of my driveway. So not questions, but things that I think should maybe be taken into consideration. That he might not be aware of because he's only there during his study period. Also the lights as you go north, the light at Chestnut Ridge Road, maybe 3 cars make it through the light before it changes. And then the next light's still red, so the traffic doesn't really flow. So it kind of gets bogged up a little bit there, so maybe if somebody looks into that and having the lights change consecutively because they're so close together. And that's about it, I just wanted to make sure, just safety issues that I think people should know about.
Thank you.
So happy about that park.
Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, I think maybe it's gonna take time to get things answered, but it's worth it because this is the biggest development we've ever had here. So let's go back for a second. We got 474 units. How many people is it? Well, based upon the water that is in.
That's not how many units we have. That's not how many units we have.
Well, okay, so
Oh,
it's
no, no, wait.
274, excuse me, times 1.5. Anyway, we have an excess of 400 people. And an answer of go send our people from town over to another town to use their parking is unacceptable. It's not.
Do you have a
Taylor,
question
really-
for the witness?
Let's go back to where we've got.
Mr. Taylor,
Questions? You have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
ask the witness,
Yes.
please. Ask the
You
witness.
picked 2 days, you said this is what the traffic is, right?
Yes.
Unacceptable. I worked 50 years ago for AT&T. You know what AT&T did? They could tell you within a half of a percent what the traffic was gonna be in any particular day for 365 days at any point in time. Why? Because he took a look at statistics and they did a survey. You don't pick 2 days and say, our future is dependent upon that.
Mr.
You take
Chairman,
a longer period.
I object to this. This is a filibuster. This is an attempt to waste this board's time. This is a time to ask a question.
That's
Ask a
false.
question.
You don't have a question.
You have a question?
Yes, I don't.
Sit down.
Then,
I will not.
Mr.
Are you
Taylor,
gonna make me?
Mr. Taylor, if you don't have any questions, please sit down. So that others can ask questions.
Said it was insufficient data that was used to make a presentation on this. And to say that people from this town have to go to another and pay money because these people are coming in is not acceptable. And if it is, maybe the people who are talking to me who wanna go to another town will.
Yes, sir.
That's why.
10:02 is the bewitching hour.
My last name. I live on East 77 Chestnut Road. My driveway is right across the southernmost entrance, right across. So imagine, we're talking about turning left. Imagine the future. How do I pull out, make a left turn? I'll be waiting forever.
I had the same problem.
To go north,
Couldn't know.
to go north, right.
Forever, because cars can come in, then making left turn, making right turn, and cars southbound can make left turn. And imagine,
I don't, what's the question for the?
because my life would be difficult. Just before make a left turn, going northbound will be very difficult. Without proper traffic sign, control.
I mean, again, I'm not sure how does a development here affect you making a left out of your driveway?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the question he's asking.
Okay, that's what I'm trying
Yeah, I'm trying to ask, you know, how to address my.
Left-hand turn.
trying to get your question to the witness.
Yes.
So again, I will compare this to the amount of traffic that we're going to be generating. In the worst hour, which is this Saturday, we're generating about 180 trips an hour. So that's basically 3 trips a minute, and we have 3 driveways. So essentially, we would have a trip coming in, and I'm just using averages here, but 1 trip a minute out of
Please do not use the average.
each one of the
Let me-
driveways.
Wait, you can't interrupt, okay? Let him answer the question.
So in terms of the impact, yes, there will be, a vehicle, let's say every minute, either going in or out of one of those driveways for the busiest hour on the Saturday. Now, again, I don't live in your house, so I can't speak to your current experience, but the one trip that's coming out during the minute, I don't think is the only opportunity that there's for a vehicle to come in and out of your driveway. So I don't think we're taking up the only time that you would have, let's say, that minute to either make a left or right out of your driveway.
The reason I say don't take average, because the southernmost entrance will be the busiest. Look at all the garage openings and service vehicles, and people, UPS, Amazon drop off, they will mostly go through that entrance and making left.
Where the multifamily building is.
Yes.
Where the multifamily building.
Yes, yes.
So again, you're referring to the southerly most being the one that kind of is the current driveway
Yes.
location? Okay, I just want to make sure. Right. So where the current,
So the
Right.
traffic will concentrate, in that. And based on the arrangement of garage and also, the way people drop off things will usually go through that and fold in front of the complex view, right?
right. But then again, I would also,
So in your study of the site traffic, do they anticipate the southernmost driveway because of the density of those 2 multifamily towers being utilized more than the other 2 entrances?
yeah, so essentially the way that we've distributed the traffic, and I'm going to use just in general terms, the southerly multifamily building would generally use the southerly driveway. The northerly multifamily building
Okay.
and the townhomes would utilize the center driveway, and townhomes, supportive housing, and retail would utilize either Glen Road or the northernmost driveway. So we get,
Chairman, I want to clarify.
Yeah.
Multifamily has 2 different areas of residential.
correct,
And parking under each area.
correct.
And the parking is grade separated, meaning that you can't be in the garage and get from one level to the other. Which means that people are gonna be allocated parking spaces within that garage.
Correct.
So everybody on the multifamily residential will be parked in the north area. Underneath that building, right? They will access out either Glen or the middle entrance, right? So it's not all the multifamily going to the south. Because cars are gonna be parked in the northern, under the northern. part.
Right, so the residents of the south wing will use the entrance known as Road A.
Yeah.
And then the residents of the north wing and some of the townhomes will use Road B. Some of the townhomes, the retail and the
Supportive.
what's it called, supportive will use either of the two entrances to the north.
Right, one thing on that, is BMW still allowed to access the South Road and they'll be.
That is still gonna be
Open to
the current office, one of the current
There'll
office.
still be access that road at the 4 or 5 o'clock time also.
Back to-
So I guess going back to that, and the clarification, thanks, Fran, for emphasizing. It's not the entire large multifamily all filtering to the southerly driveway, which I think is what the residents' concern was. In fact, Saturday, which is the greater level of traffic, it's that because of also the retail component, which again is the furthest from the southerly driveway. Those people, if you're using retail, you're coming either in and out on Glen or that northernmost driveway.
Yeah, speaking of retail, my concern is because I need to go out early in the morning and go to work. I don't expect a lot of retail traffic, right? So my concern is the southernmost.
And you would need to get to the parkway in theory, so you gotta come out your driveway and make a left to go north.
Yeah.
But so would the majority of the residents of this building be going northbound as well.
And they're likely
So
sneaking
I don't think
out.
that affects you making your left across the southern traffic.
You mean, talking about early in the morning? Or,
Well,
no, it can be any time. In general, the southernmost will be the busiest.
I don't think so, because if you're going to the parkway in the morning, you also might, if you live here, go out Glen Road so you don't get stuck at the light.
Straight in.
Yeah.
The greatest shortcut in the world.
You're not gonna come out on Chestnut Ridge at all because you would have to wait at the light.
That time I try to pull up, I'll be facing, long line, right? And also, I have to wait for the left turn traffic to end and also the traffic coming from the complex, because they have the right of way, right?
The right out of the drive of our site would have the right of way over, your left turn out,
Yeah,
correct?
so
Yes.
But there's two lanes.
There's two, yeah.
So I'll be waiting forever, basically.
I mean,
I don't believe it's
do-
forever,
do-
but
Do you currently wait?
And also,
Yeah.
Right, when BMW was occupied, did you wait?
there's not much traffic. Their pattern is usually 8 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. In between, there's hardly any traffic.
It's gonna be the same thing here.
School starts at, you have to be there at 8:10, so if you are going for the elementary or the middle school, you would be leaving at the same time as BMW.
But there will be time, I'll be waiting for long.
There's gonna be people who are going to be turning into BMW, it's gonna be tricky and there's no way it's not gonna be tricky for them to, a lot of this way.
Sure, just for the purposes of the question. Matt, can you talk about the traffic, when BMW, when that office was occupied, since the gentleman indicated versus what's gonna be happening in the proposed project? So that he can have a comparison to the worst scenario of when BMW was occupied versus what the worst scenario would be for this. project.
and again, so BMW, if we were coming here with the BMW headquarters instead of this residential building, I would be telling the board we would generate between 200 and 250 trips in the busiest hour. I'm here with this development saying we're going to generate between 166 and 186 in the busiest hour, so it's less. In addition, BMW only had 2 driveways. We have 3, and we also have the Glen Road driveway, which takes some of the pressure off of Chestnut Ridge Road that exists today. In fact, I think the main parking area for BMW was in the area of access from the driveway that is across from this neighbor versus ours, which again, I think is spread up a little bit amongst our 3 driveways.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've lost you.
How about it?
So,
I'm getting tired.
so and I understand this is not gonna necessarily make you feel better. But Matt, in your professional opinion, the traffic impact on the homes on the west side of Chestnut Ridge Road will be better or worse than it was at the peak time of BMW when they were occupying the building pre-COVID?
Better, assuming BMW at their peak.
No, I have a follow-up.
All right, if we have any other questions for the audience, do you have any other questions, sir?
No.
Thank you.
Do you want
Can
a
we-
follow-up question?
All right, fine.
Account that the current BMW is using that south. Because the since the north building has closed, that the traffic has substantially increased at that entrance. So there are times where there are people that get off the parkway and they make a left on Chestnut Ridge Road to go to work at BMW. They turn in that entrance, not the one further down the road. And the cars back up at that entrance to pull in.
Yeah,
And
they,
I think that's what he's talking about, because there have been times where I can't get out of my driveway because I go to pull out and they're trying to turn in here. And there's 4 cars lined up waiting to turn in.
On Chestnut Ridge.
Yes.
Heading south.
In the morning, yeah. They're going.
And I think that's
south,
what we
trying
talked
to make a
about,
left.
if need be, if if for some reason this gentleman's forecasts are off and traffic does start to do that, that's where the county would come in and create a turn lane that we talked about earlier, right? Where they would probably take, as Matt said, they would probably take the 2 lanes and make them a 1 lane with a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn to get them in and out.
What about, the turn on certain hours? That would probably eliminate.
So again, these are concerns that belong to the county. They're beyond the scope of this hearing tonight.
If you have a question for him, I'm gonna come up. Ma'am, go.
This is follow up with my husband question. And, I hear estimate, but I found to be not be accurate. Okay, I didn't do it by myself, but based on my experience, currently, I think the traffic will increase significantly. If you consider the time the school open and in dismissal time, the traffic will be increased from those 370 people to 500. Okay, they will have kids going to school. And in the weekend, the traffic will increase. And during the peak hours, during the morning and afternoon, okay, the traffic will increase a lot. So we're talking about when we make a left turn, I'm not saying that we're going to wait for forever for the turn. That's not accurate. Take it back. But we're going to wait for a long time to get our turn because we don't have the right thing.
Right.
Yeah, so is there any like a restriction, that has been established to minimize this kind of traffic chaos? Okay, not just for the resident, okay, not just for our house, okay? It's for the entire street because the 3 entrances are there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a question or not, but you could certainly
again,
attempt.
the one thing I would emphasize is that what we have on this development that BMW didn't have is the access on Glen Road. And the fact that the majority of people commute southbound, it allows for our traffic to not even touch Chestnut Ridge Road when leaving the site in the morning, which I think was one of the main concerns.
Right. But we'll impact it when they're coming home.
Mr. Chairman, just this board cannot place restrictions on movement on that road.
I understand.
Only the county can. So the board can empathize with everyone, but it's not the board's ability, even if the board wanted to, it's not the board's ability to impose any sort of restrictions on that road. That any sort of request of that would have to go through the Bergen County Engineering and Planning Department.
Okay. Understood. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public?
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just leaving your witnesses free to go. Thank you.
In October. Mr. Chairman, I don't have any further witnesses. I'd like to take public comment, give a short closing statement and conclude the matter tonight.
We do that, and just to clarify the record, and will be part of the record. We have marked this WCO1, the Woodcliff Lake Police Department memo, which didn't really have any comments and didn't have any traffic safety concerns. We did recommend 9.5 feet by 18 feet parking spaces. Of course, we have WCL2, the planning review memo by Francis Reiner. WCL3, the Negley Engineering Review Letter. WCL4, the Park Ridge Water Email. With comments, questions, and attached specifications. Not sure if you addressed those questions, so we see if they were. Do you have that, Mark?
Which one?
The Park Ridge Water Company, email.
So
I can go over the question.
yeah, I mean, the only thing that I saw from Park Ridge Water was the $500,000 connection fee that they wanted, which obviously we're gonna be paying.
Okay, let's see. Well, it has some requirements, three-way, valve configuration.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're gonna do whatever Park Ridge Water tells us to
The
do.
question was. Okay, okay. I guess they wanted to know that no service connections were shown, but I guess you'll correct that.
Yeah.
And how is the site to be metered?
I mean, they're gonna comply with.
All right,
whatever.
you're gonna comply.
Yeah, whatever Park Ridge Water wants us
And
to
then we
do.
have the WCL5, which is the DPW email. And there was a response by our engineer, so that was taken care of. Then we have the fire department email, which is WCL6. I think they just want to know location of fire hydrants, but let me check and see what that was.
Yeah, their email says the fire department does not have any issues with the current layout for 300 Chestnut Ridge Road project. We just need to be looped back in for hydrant placement, which we will do.
Okay, and WCL7 will be the redevelopment plan. That will be part of the record. Okay, so I think we have all your exhibits marked.
Yeah.
Do you want to do closing statement before or after?
No, I want the public to speak first.
All right, so could we get?
Do we have to extend time, because it's
No.
already 10?
No, we can't, we can only go till 10:30.
Oh, we can only go to 10.
Sorry, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Members of the public may speak for any comment or any question or anything regarding the development project.
Can just say that the one thing I've always liked about
You-
Cliff Lake is open space. And the fact that I get out of the gridlock of all the towns around me, including Saddle River, and you get on Woodcliff Lake Road, and it's like, exhale, we can move. So take that.
Not
as
too
a-
fast,
it's
though.
Not gonna be like that, but it's not gonna be like that anymore. Because the roads are gonna, I don't know who makes the law, cause I think 2 miles for a grammar school child to have to walk to school is a bit far. So I don't know who makes the rules about buses, but it would probably help a lot to. reduce
High school
them.
high school works the opposite for some of us, so.
I didn't, I drove my kids.
I lost it by a block, so I had 3
I
girls.
lost it by 2 houses. 2 houses down from the
Yeah.
other bus.
Yeah.
But I don't know if is that a state law that maybe
I-
that could be changed, and that would significantly reduce the amount of traffic.
Yeah, I have.
In a perfect world, this would be the best spot for the grammar school.
You know, but I bet if you went to the school board, that would be.
The school board meetings.
Sorry, the school board meetings. What?
Because I think the amount supposed to go, you don't have to stay over there.
Yeah, I think it's state law and I don't think any, either way, we don't have any control. So unfortunately. Anyone else have any comments they want to make regarding the application? Yes, come on up.
But the construction.
Can you state your name for the record?
I think she knows her name now.
Yeah.
Third task, okay, I'm concerned about the construction noise, okay, because it was mentioned that it would take about 2 to 4 years. So is there any measurement taken ask the developer, I guess.
You can ask Mr. Liebman. He may know the answer.
Speaking about the construction noise during.
So there are limits on the hours that construction is allowed to take place that are set by the town law. There's borough ordinances on that, and there are state regulations on sound that regulate how much noise is allowed to travel across the property. And we will comply with all of those laws. I think it's probably 8 AM until 6 PM, I would guess, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Normal working hours. Yeah. Normal working hours.
That's pretty early. But
Hang on, we can't all talk at the same time. and Trying to record the meeting.
I will say this, whatever the law is, we will comply with that.
Would there be any like sound barrier?
No.
No sound barrier. Okay, I'm mostly concerned about this, because I have medical condition. I have a medical condition.
Okay.
A brain tumor, called acute pneumora, which, well, tinnitus is one of the many symptoms. So the noise will worsen the tinnitus. Okay, and are you saying tinnitus? Yeah, tinnitus. Yeah, tinnitus. Yeah, and it only get worse when there's constant noise. So that's the part I'm mostly concerned with. I don't know. Okay. Right now it's for comments, but I'm asking like, okay, anyone would take that into consideration? Would there be anything done or, measurement taken, when you decide?
So again, I'm not sure. There is laws with regards to noise levels. If during construction you feel the noise levels are too much, I think that each county in the state has a dedicated department to noise control that will come out and measure the decibel limits. And they've agreed to be compliant with it. I'm sure that they will.
This is also on the county level position, is it?
That is a county level position, yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
For any, just what we discussed.
This is it. This is your opportunity to speak. This is it. You've got 3 minutes left.
Sir is here to challenge you on math. Several times during the presentations today, we heard some very shaky math. When you talked about the number of gallons that's not going to be coming from the old building. It hasn't been occupied in my lifetime. And you can't play the game that there's nothing up the sleeve. If the building has been unoccupied, you can't give yourself a credit for that lack of usage. You have to go by what's real. Same thing when we talked about the traffic survey. As a math graduate, among other things, you can't make a line with one data point. Having 2 days worth of data, I would have flunked you in that class. It's not sufficient data to be able to draw any conclusion. You need more data points, and 2 days, it could have been 2 Sundays for all we know. You really have to do better work on collecting data. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're imposing rules and regulations on us as you have to go to another town to catch a train. That's making it more likely he's going to move out of town when he gets tired of commuting to another town to catch a train. Is that what we're going to do to all these new residents? Say, aren't you happy you moved here? Welcome to town. Go to Hillsdale. Go to Montvale. Go somewhere else. Go anywhere. You really have to do a better job of justifying your data.
Anyone else?
Yes. Just real quick, I'm just surprised that with the project, Laura Jevons, Kenwood Drive. With a project this size that we're only bringing, the proposed is 20% affordable housing. But this project only allows for 11.5, and with the numbers as large as they are now. Why aren't we looking at? I don't know, I'm looking at their paperwork, 11.5 cents.
70 affordable housing.
They have
Right,
the
but they're
20%.
They're saying here, and I mean, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it says affordable housing. Requirement is 20%, proposed is 11.5. Is that not correct?
That's not correct.
Okay, it's not.
70 units.
Okay, so
20%.
70/40.
It's at 20%?
Per unit.
Yeah.
But that we received is incorrect.
I don't know what you're looking at, but
She's looking at a zoning table on the side.
They're providing 74 affordable housing credit units.
Okay, but,
270 to 70.
okay, so where it says affordable housing, 20% required and 11.5% proposed, that's incorrect.
They're providing 20%,
They're providing
70/40,
They're providing 70 40 of affordable housing. They have that with
Anybody from that company, is that correct? That is 20%, okay, thank you.
One more, probably last question.
okay.
7 minutes. Is this the first, 4-story residential building, with Lake?
I can't hear the question.
Okay, is it the first 4-story residential building in Walker Lake? Do we have any current 4-story residential building?
I don't know. Bristol? I think the Bristol is.
Yeah, the Four Seasons.
The Four Seasons is as well. Yeah.
So no,
It's not.
it's not.
There was another one.
At least two.
I think the Bristol and the Four Seasons on Chestnut Ridge are both, I think, 4 stories.
Are they residential? They're
Yes.
commercial.
They're residential.
No, they're residential.
Right. Is it out of curiosity?
Was only 3 stories.
Can we close? Can I close? Can I close?
3-story.
Okay, I think the Bristol is 4 stories. And I'm pretty sure Four Seasons is the 4 stories as well. Any other questions from the audience?
There been a school impact study done.
I don't
See
know
if
if
the
there.
school is sufficient enough for the amount of children. that
It meets the current ordinance. They're not asking for any variances.
This is an excellent school system in this town. My kids were
Agreed.
beyond prepared for college. Knew more, the first year they skated, so I know people are gonna flood to live here for the school. So my concern is the school gonna not have space for them?
We don't believe that's the case, and I don't believe the mayor and council believes that as well.
So I don't.
And I think they've looked at I think they've looked at studies and submitted studies when they went through the ordinance. But I'm not on the mayor and council, I can't answer.
Very quick.
Motion to close to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Lehman, do we need to extend it for 5 minutes or not? That-
25.
That clock's fast.
Can I close?
Close.
Okay.
You guys gotta be quiet so that the court stenographer, so the stenographer can record.
All right, so I have a lot that I want to say that I'm not going to say because you've all been here for a long time. And you all know what you're doing, but I do have a couple things that I just want to share with you and with the public. This is a big project. I also live in this community. I've been here for 16 years. I represented this board for 10 years before that. I'm familiar with this community. I'm familiar with this road. I speed on Chestnut Ridge Road. I know exactly what our traffic engineer was talking about. I am very comfortable with this project. I think it's going to be an amazing addition to our community. It's going to be an amazing addition to the town. It's going to be a real improvement for this area. It's going to bring vitality, it's going to bring residents, and it's going to bring a tremendous amount of revenue to this community. It has been incredibly carefully designed and incredibly well thought out. The supportive housing is key. The amount of affordable housing units that we're creating, the bedroom counts, the layouts has been all very carefully calculated. The design is excellent. Minow Wasco is the preeminent multifamily architect in the state. Russo and Woodmont are 2 of the top residential developers in New Jersey. This is going to be a first-class project. It is also variance-free. It is going to comply with all the laws, all the regulations. Everybody in the public that is concerned that this is somehow going to ruin our town, take a deep breath. I have read the minutes of the planning board when Tice Mall changed from the farm to the mall. The same kind of comments that we heard tonight were heard that. You're gonna ruin our community. You're gonna ruin our town. I was the board attorney when the Vanadium project was built. The same comments. Everybody is scared of change. Don't be afraid of change. Change is good. Change is growth. We had the same comments, I'm sure, when they built the George Washington Bridge and they put the second level on it. And the same comments when 287 got expanded. People are afraid of change, but change is good. We need housing. We need ratables. We need measured development. Woodcliff Lake has been brilliant in how it's handled redevelopment and affordable housing issues for decades, far better than some of our surrounding communities. This is a smart project. It's variance-free. I ask that you approve it.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? No? Then I think that it's time for us to. Motion.
Motion to approve the application as submitted, obviously conforming to the laws, regulations, shade tree conditions and other statements that have been complied with.
Yeah, fire department, they engineering, all the stipulations.
The second from Sanjay. Motion on the
Alright.
table.
Councilwoman Marsh? Yes. Mr. Panzo?
Go to bed.
Mr. Freeburg?
Yes.
Still there?
I'm still there, but I can't hear a word. Vice Chairman Dewan?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Barbara?
Yes.
Ms. Picnic? Yes. Chairman Bellamy?
Yes.
It's approved.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gonna be a great job.
Motion on the meeting. Second, to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Out of the draw. All in favor?
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
How much is
Same time.
10:29? 10:29. You made it by 60 seconds.
Look at that.